Chapter 502. Not right. This is no longer a man dressing up as a woman. He clearly used some sort of method to turn into a woman. These two perverts. This is definitely Big Brother's idea. My Yi-hong definitely wouldn't do such a thing. He definitely regrets saying that to me, and then under Big Brother's instigation, he used this sort of method to reduce his stress. LV Liang's mind was successfully filled in by Zishan. Not right. The two of them wouldn't go to the extent of becoming women to relieve stress. If they wanted to relieve stress, they would go and become a big sword or something. That's right. My lord's mission. Could it be that the two of them became like this for the sake of doing a mission? And then, they coincidentally saw that I came, and couldn't help but come over to create trouble? That should be the case. This bastard even said that he wants to divorce me, shameless, stinky man. Feng Di was already very annoyed. If not for there being too many people here, he would definitely have slapped the two women away. If the two of you continue to be like this, I won't be polite anymore. Feng Di gave his final warning, hurry up and scram. I don't know what's going on with this information, but it actually said that the two of them have purest blood, which means that they are nightclub girls. Just as LV Liang was about to speak, Zishan suddenly stood up, Big Brother, this place is too noisy, let's go to another place. Zishan's actions caused Qinya and Brett to go into a daze. It's good that we go to another place. This green and red scene is truly vexing, it is truly throwing away the face of women. LV Liang and Yi-hong's hearts sunk, especially Yi-hong. I feel that my heart is about to break. My wife is actually going to get a room with this man. Feng Di was delighted in his heart, and he hurriedly pushed away the two women who were on him and said with a smile, I do know a quiet place, we can sit down and have a chat. Qin Yutong smiled, that would be for the best, let's go then. Ladies first. Feng Di revealed out a handsome smile. I didn't expect that these three women would be so easily hooked, as expected of King Yen. The three women stood up with confident smiles on their faces, while the two sisters had stupefied looks on their faces. What is this situation? LV Liang hurriedly held on to Feng Di and said with a tender smile, Big Brother, bring us along as well. Scram! Feng Di shouted out coldly. Although the two of you look good, your temperament is too lacking, and you are completely not on the same level as these three women. A man in a suit came to Feng Di and whispered, Big Brother, can you let us play with them? The little brother knew that he definitely wouldn't be able to find a high-quality beauty, but these two women were still not bad. Although their temperament was a bit lacking, their faces and figures were still not bad. It was just that they were a bit coquettish. Feng Di thought for a moment and said, I think you guys should be more careful. Clean up the mess afterward. Yes. Come with me, the man in the suit said to the green and red sisters. LV Tao and Yi Hong were exulted. As long as we are able to openly follow his honor's sister-in-law and Zishan, it would be great. When the men in the nightclub saw the five beautiful young ladies leaving with the three men, they felt a burst of pity. All the good cabbages were taken by pigs. Feng Di drove the Land Rover and brought Qin Yutong and the other two girls away first, while his two subordinates took a taxi and brought the green and red sisters with them. On the way to the hotel, Yi-hong appeared to be very restless. Her Zishan had actually willingly gone to get a room with someone else. LV Tao patted on the back of the little brother's hand to comfort him. Being cuckolded is indeed very painful, but as long as one experiences it, one would get used to it. LV Tao sighed. I didn't expect that we brothers would end up being cuckolded. This is the true meaning of life. In the future, this little brother should be able to dye himself green and constantly remind himself not to forget the matter of being cuckolded. I have to be vigilant towards women, because when you are not paying attention, they will put on you a colored hat. This was also the reason why LV Tao wasn't willing to accept the Blood Clan sisters for so long. The matter of race did indeed play a part in it, but the matter of being cuckolded was a huge part in it. Everyone arrived downstairs of the gym. "Big brother, where are we going?" Qing Yutong asked curiously. Meanwhile, Brett and Zishan were already prepared to open the door. Other than his honor, there isn't a single man in this world that is good. In actuality, his honor is also a liar. Feng Di smiled mysteriously. "I will bring you guys to a good place." At this moment, the green and red sisters got off the car. When Yi Hong saw that his wife was still around, he felt relieved. They didn't directly go to get a room. The few of them went upstairs together. It was already 11 p.m., and the gym was already closed. When everyone arrived at the gym, they were very confused. "Little brother, are you bringing us to the gym?" Qing Yutong asked curiously. This is truly a weirdo. Other people would always bring someone to a gym to get drunk, and this is the first time I've seen someone bring someone to a gym. Feng Di switched on all the lights and smiled. "Do you want to try? The machines here are all international standards." His elder brother, Feng Tian, should be cultivating at this time, so he shouldn't disturb him. Brett said in a deep voice, "Since it's boring, let's give it a try." Actually, the three women all felt that this Feng Di had some strength, so they wanted to see what he was up to. Perhaps they would encounter something interesting. LV Liang and Yi Hong had the same feeling. This gym was a little weird. LV Liang felt that the syringe in her chest was a little strange. She quietly hid to the side and reached into her chest to take out the syringe. The purest blood was boiling like boiling water. Based on his many years of watching Hong Kong movies, there must be something calling for the purest blood. Suddenly, the pure blood in the syringe calmed down, which made LV Liang a little confused. LV Liang immediately transmitted his voice to his underling. "I found something." Yi Hong was a little lost in thought as she looked at Zishan's back, to the point where she didn't even notice that her elder brother was calling for her. "Yi Hong." "Ah. What's the matter, big brother?" Yi Hong hurriedly replied. "We should have found the right place. If my feeling isn't wrong, this place should be the nest of that group of people." "Ah. Isn't that Zishan in danger?" LV Liang really wanted to knock on his underling's head. "Your wife is so powerful, what the hell are you worried about?" Yi Hong also realized that she was worrying too much, so she asked, "Then, what should we do now?" "Our mission is to deliver the goods to their doorstep. Since we know the location, it will be much easier. We can directly send the goods over another day." "But Zishan and the others are here as well. If it really is that group of people, wouldn't they be scared away? At that time, we will have to look for them again." His underling's words caused LV Liang's expression to darken. The mission that originally had some clues became troublesome because of their arrival. "What should we do?" "Yi Hong, it's up to you now." LV Liang said gravely. "What do you mean?" "Get Zishan to cooperate with us." LV Liang already had a script in her mind. Yi Hong immediately became speechless. "I just quarreled with my wife, and it's the kind that doesn't speak. It has only been a few days, and I already have to beg my wife." Chapter 503. Seeing that her little brother was not moving, Lulu said in a deep voice, "What are you waiting for? Beg for mercy, go back and kneel on the keyboard, and you'll be a man again." "Big brother, but I can't say it out loud." Yi Hong's heart was also very complicated. "I was so awesome that day." A loud shout was a divorce. He had never been so domineering in his life. It had only been a few days, and now he had to ask his wife to cooperate with him. Wasn't that even more unmanly? LV Liang knew what her little brother was thinking and advised, "Yi Hong, don't think about a man's dignity anymore. In front of your wife, just rub your dignity on the ground and be a bootlicker in the future. Big brother has high hopes for you." Yi Hong was speechless. Speaking of which, it is fine for me to be a bootlicker for my wife, but, forget it, I'll just lick it then. Hee, aren't you willing to have a large number of men to become Zishan's bootlicker? You don't know how lucky you are. After taking a deep breath, Yi Hong sent a voice transmission to Zishan. After saying that, Yi Hong waited for the other party's reply. He also observed his wife's every move, but there didn't seem to be any reaction. Honey. Yi Hong called again. Who said you're my wife? Get lost. Zishan coldly replied. Now, you know how to beg for forgiveness. That night, weren't you very awesome and domineering? Other than bullying your wife, who else would you bully? Thinking about this, Zishan felt so wrong that she wanted to die. When Yi Hong heard that her wife had told her to get lost, her heart sank and she didn't say anything more. What's going on? Did he say anything? LV Liang asked curiously. Zishan told me to scram. Yi Hong muttered. When she heard Zishan telling her to scram, Yi Hong felt a dull pain in her heart. Is Zishan so disgusted with me now? LV Shu felt that it was time for her to save herself. Little brother is no longer reliable, I can only seek help from his honor's sister-in-law. What should I call her? Madame Lulu sent a sound transmission to Qin Yutong, and with a flattering tone, she said. Qin Yutong, who was not far away, went into a daze. There is actually someone who called me madam, seems like that person is an acquaintance. Who is it? It's me, LV Liang. So it's Xiao Lu, where is it? Qin Yutong asked curiously. LV Liang was a little embarrassed. Those two women are us. F***K, you two sure have a heavy taste, to actually transform into women to play. Qin Yutong turned her head around and took a look at the green and red sisters, and the corner of her mouth slightly twitched. Dear madam, aren't I carrying out his honor's orders? These people are the people that his honor has been looking for during this period of time, we need to give them the things that we wanted. Oh, so you're here to deliver something for brother-in-law. If there's anything you need help with, just say it. Qin Yutong's mood was very good. This Lu Shu's mouth is rather sweet, calling me madam over and over again, causing Qin Yutong to be endlessly happy. LV Liang explained his idea to Qin Yutong and the other two girls, and hoped that Qin Yutong and the other two girls would slightly cooperate with him. Actually, he wanted to say, don't cause trouble. It's not easy for us brothers to take on a mission, and we don't want it to fail. This is related to my image in his honor's mind. After hearing what Qin Yutong said, Qin Yutong immediately agreed. So there's something more interesting than teaching a stinky man a lesson. Qin Yutong immediately told Brett and Zishan to cooperate with his honor later on. No matter what, Qin Yutong is his honor's sister-in-law, Brett and Zishan will naturally listen to his honor's words. Besides, this is also his honor's mission, they don't want to be taught a lesson by his honor again. Zishan secretly took a look at Yi Hong, and upon discovering that Yi Hong didn't continue looking for her, Zishan became very angry. You are clearly the one who did the wrong thing, what's wrong with coaxing you a little? Zishan had somewhat underestimated Yi Hong's degree of mental fragility. To a person who doesn't have confidence in himself, your slip of the tongue might be able to completely kill him. Just like when Yi Hong told Zishan to scram just now, Yi Hong took it seriously. If it was another man, Zishan might have continued to coax Yi Hong shamelessly. Husband and wife quarreling is like this, there will always be one who is afraid. This isn't ugly, the one who is afraid is the one who is wise. The two of you, come over. The suited underling at the side was prepared to pull the green and red sisters over. LV Liang began resisting weakly, what are you two doing? Yi Hong, who was at the side, was the same as well. She knew that this was a crucial moment, and she couldn't let her guard down. Save me, Feng Di turned his head around and took a look, and didn't take it seriously at all. Meanwhile, Qin Yutong and the other two women revealed expressions of doubt and fear. From the looks of it, all three of them are experts in acting. At the very least, in Feng Di's eyes, their reaction was very normal. "What are you two doing?" Qin Yutong and the other two women revealed expressions of fear as they leaned against each other. Feng Di laughed lightly. "It's nothing, you two don't have to be afraid, because in a while, it will be your turn." You are a bad person." Brett pointed at Feng Di and scolded. Brett's acting was a little stiff. After all, Brett's acting was not mature enough yet. Feng Di stretched out his hand and lightly stroked the barbell, then said faintly, "That's right, I am a bad person, and I am the super bad kind." In actuality, right now, the three women really wanted to say, "What a coincidence, we are also super bad." Zishan, who was acting as a weak girl, was already shivering in fear. On the other hand, the green and red sisters were still powerlessly struggling at the side. LV Liang's body was a little big. Why is she doing this? Because she wants to squeeze out the syringe from the center of her chest. However, the syringe seems to be stuck. "After all, my chest muscles are too big. There's no other way, I can only beat it out." Paw. When LV Liang was struggling, he accidentally hit his own chest, causing Yi Hong to feel a wave of pain. "Big brother, that slap of yours is too heavy." However, a white syringe flew out from LV Liang's cleavage, attracting everyone's gaze. Looking at the syringe that fell out from LV Liang's cleavage, the two brothers felt that they had finally completed the task that his honor gave them. The syringe fell onto the ground and lightly rolled on the ground, and the inside of the syringe was completely red. However, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there were still words stuck on the syringe. "Purest blood," these words were written on the syringe, as if they were afraid that others wouldn't know about it. The three women also saw it. "Aren't you two brothers a bit too sloppy, to actually still have words stuck on the syringe?" At this moment, Qin Yutong suddenly cried out in surprise, "What is this? There are actually words on the syringe. Purest blood. What is this?" Zishan said fearfully, "I don't know, it should be human blood. Purest blood is definitely pure blood." Brett's words were still as stiff as before. Feng Di tightly wrinkled his brows, then stretched out his palm. The syringe that was on the ground fell onto Feng Di's hand. Looking at the three big words on the syringe, Feng Di's doubt became even deeper. Chapter 504. Even though the green and red sisters had tossed out the purest blood, Feng Di still didn't believe that they were the ones who possessed the purest blood. Perhaps they had obtained it from somewhere else. From this, it could be seen just how terrible of a persona the two brothers had created. Looking at the purest blood in his hand, Feng Di thought that the information might be correct. They were the possessors, not the possessors. But where did they get it from? Who cares? As long as it was pure blood, it would be fine. "Watch them," Feng Di said coldly. Yes. More than 10 men in suits walked out from each door and surrounded the 5 women. The 5 women were so scared that they were shivering. However, right now, the two brothers could finally breathe out a sigh of relief. "We have finally completed the mission given to us by His Honor." Just that, how are we going to get out of this situation perfectly is a problem. Qin Yutong contacted LV Liang and asked, "Have you guys completed your mission?" "Yes, thank you for your cooperation, madam." LV Shu was very grateful. "You are too polite, from now on, all of you will cooperate with me." Qin Yutong really wanted to see what that person was going to do with the purest blood. What else could LV Shu say? Of course, she agreed. After knowing that Yi Hong had completed his mission, Zishan heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Hong doesn't have to die to atone for his crime. What a fool. On the other side, Feng Di held the labeled purest blood in his hand and knocked on the door. "Come in." Feng Tian's deep voice came from inside. Feng Di pushed open the door respectfully and saw his big brother sitting cross-legged. The aura he emitted was getting stronger and stronger. "Congratulations, big brother." Feng Tian opened his eyes. The golden pupils under the mask were even more bewitching, sending chills down one's spine. "Do you have any leads on the item?" Feng Tian stood up and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Feng Di presented the syringe with both hands. Feng Tian saw the 4 words on the syringe and he was confused. This is the purest blood. Wasn't the packaging a little too sloppy? This was simply a waste of a heavenly treasure. Feng Tian took the syringe and instantly felt the thirst from the blood disc. The blood in the syringe started to boil, and seeing this reaction, Feng Di revealed a look of shock. Who would have thought that this was truly pure blood? After putting away the syringe, Feng Tian asked, "How did you get it?" "Big brother, if I said that it fell out of a beautiful woman's chest, would you believe me?" Feng Tian's eyes turned cold and Feng Di immediately told him what had happened. "I'll go out and take a look. You go and arrange the ceremony. There can't be any mistakes." "Yes." Feng Tian's expression was solemn, as if he wasn't happy about the birth of the blood demon. He slowly walked towards the hall of the gym. Right now, Brett was a bit led astray by Qin Yutong. "Xiao Lu, go and buy it, remember to buy a few packets of spicy gluten," Qin Yutong instructed. The corner of LV Lu's mouth twitched. "That's not good, right? We are all tied up. I will send you a mirror image, go and return quickly," Brett said faintly. As an elf, he knew a lot of simple magic, but he didn't know as much as his honor. What else could LV Luliang do? "We are just lacking a small bench." Right when LV Luliang left, Feng Tian, who was sitting cross-legged at the center, finally moved. A blood plate could be seen on his right hand, and a needle tube could be seen on his left hand. When the 2 items appeared at the same time, the red glow on the blood plate immediately increased greatly, and the needle tube immediately broke apart. However, the pure blood did not fall onto the ground, and instead, it floated in the air, as if it was a living thing. Feng Tian placed the blood plate at the center of the blood plate, then bent his body and took a few steps back. A stream of spiritual energy shot into the blood plate from his finger, and a vicious aura immediately soared into the sky, and the pure blood began trembling, as if it was frightened to the point that it was unable to move. Kacha! The blood plate immediately opened outwards, and it seemed as if some kind of treasure was going to appear from within. However, there wasn't any treasure at all. After the blood plate opened up, the inside of the blood plate was completely red, as if it was an ocean of blood. Pooh! Suddenly, a head that was formed from blood broke out from the blood plate and pounced towards the pure blood along with a chilly wind. Soon after, the head swallowed the pure blood that was frightened to the point that it didn't dare to move. The gigantic blood head seemed as if it had eaten the most delicious food in the world, and it actually let out a satisfied gasp. Then after a short while, the blood head shrunk back into the blood plate. At this time, LV Luliang rushed back while carrying a red plastic bag. Melon seeds, peanuts, and all sorts of other things were not missing. Chapter 505. Qin Yutong tore open the spicy strip and said with a smile, "No, I just got one." "That's good." LV Shu tied herself up again and stared at the scene that was filled with a strange aura. So oppressive, it is indeed very oppressive, especially when she saw the snacks in the red plastic bag at the side, it became even more oppressive. Puff! The blood plate suddenly emitted out a layer of dense blood mist, but there wasn't a lot of blood mist. Moreover, after the blood mist appeared, cracks appeared on the surface of the blood plate, and soon after, the blood plate shattered, and the crisp body of the blood plate was just like a potato chip that Qing Yutong had bitten off. Crunch crunch. The four turned their heads and looked at Qing Yutong, who was currently eating chips. Qing Yutong smiled awkwardly. It is already midnight. It is normal to be a little hungry. Yutong, the atmosphere has been ruined by you, Brett said in a low voice. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes. Ruined atmosphere. LV Shu held onto her chin and muttered, if those people were to hear this, I really don't know what kind of reaction they would have. Sisters, let's eat while watching. This Wangzai milk is mine. Qing Yutong immediately took away the Wangzai milk. Brett said faintly, I will take the Nutrition Express then. The atmosphere was a little strange. Brett was completely unaware of it. He opened the bottle cap and took a small sip, and an unknown white liquid could be seen on the corner of his mouth. Look, look, that blood mist has turned into Ultraman. Qing Yutong hurriedly cried out in surprise. At the scene, that blood mist could be seen gradually forming into a human shape, and not long later, a handsome man appeared. He had a high nose bridge, a face that seemed as if it was carved by a knife, and his melancholy gaze was simply a lady killer. He was wearing a blood-red robe that had black patterns on it, and his white hair was scattered behind his back, slowly fluttering in the wind. So handsome, Qing Yutong said. Brett nodded his head. Zi Shan also followed up and said, he is indeed very handsome. Yi Hong almost felt like he was going to bleed. So it turns out that Zi Shan likes handsome men. This point can't be changed no matter what. LV Shu patted on her little brother's shoulder. You will never be that handsome in this lifetime. He looks like a cosplay big brother. He even added cosmetic contact lenses, beautifying and filtering functions. Qing Yutong smiled. Big sister, he's a blood demon who's going to bring disaster to the world. He's not some little big brother, and he doesn't even know how to wear contact lenses. Can't he be a qualified captive? Seeing the birth of the blood demon, Feng Tian was extremely emotional. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Long live the blood demon. Blood demon was silent for a moment. His whole body was covered in a haze. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This is the feeling. The feeling of being reborn. Ha ha ha. Feeling the power in his hand, the blood demon looked up at the sky and flicked his index finger. A red speck of light floated towards the huge chimney. When it came into contact with it, the chimney seemed to be corroded. It decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye and then disappeared. All hail the blood demon. Feng Tian and the others shouted in unison. Qing Yutong, who was drinking Wangzai milk, said faintly, praising a chimney and you call it mighty, this mighty thing is really worthless. Everyone couldn't help but nod. This destructive power was too weak. The blood demon put his hands into his sleeves and looked at the man lying on the ground. He said in a cold voice, is this a greeting gift? Feng Tian, who had his head lowered, was shocked. He didn't expect to be discovered. As expected of the blood demon. Even after breaking the seal, he is still so powerful. He immediately gestured to Feng Di, and the magic formation under the blood demon's feet was activated. Instantly, the red light intensified, and Feng Tian, who was lying on the ground, slowly stood up. His black and gold eyes stared at the blood demon in front of him. The blood demon slightly narrowed his eyes and felt the might emitted by the formation. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. No matter what, I still have to thank you for releasing me. Blood demon, submit to me. I can lead you to conquer this world. Feng Tian clenched his fists tightly and stared at the blood demon as he spoke boldly. The blood demon laughed lightly and slowly spat out, ignorant human, I, the blood demon, have never lowered my head to anyone or anything. If you kneel down and submit to me now, I will spare your life on the account that you released me. It seems like we both want to be the boss. Golden radiance suddenly condensed on Feng Tian's hands. Looking at it from afar, it looked like golden gloves. Looking at the weapon that Feng Tian released, the blood demon said faintly, "I didn't expect an ordinary human like you to have an immature ancient godly item. It is enough to deal with you now." The blood demon's lips curled into a cold smile. "It took me a lot of effort to break the seal. However, you know nothing about my strength." Boom! As soon as the blood demon finished his words, a majestic bloody aura gushed out from the blood demon's robe. Like raging waves, it swallowed the surrounding men in suits instantly. The bloody aura wrapped around the blood demon's body like jelly. After a long time, it crawled back into the blood demon's robe. The surrounding men in suits all bled from their 7 apertures and died. Only Feng Di still had a trace of aura. Seeing that his subordinate had died, Feng Tian did not stop him. Instead, he said faintly, as expected of the blood demon, "Even after breaking the seal, he is still so powerful." Of course. Otherwise, how could he have been sealed? What a pity. Feng Tian let out a long sigh and his golden eyes became even deeper. The blood demon was confused. "What's a pity?" "It's a pity that I want to tell you what you know about my strength. You know nothing about it." Ha 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 ha. Hearing that, the blood demon laughed wildly. It was as if he was laughing at the ants in front of him who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Qing Yutong, who was peeling peanuts, pouted her mouth. "These two sure know how to boast. That's right, look at how low profile I am." LV Liang laughed and squeezed out a piece of tofu skin. Brett snorted coldly, "Two insignificant ants are just boasting to each other." Qing Yutong squeezed out a piece of gluten and bit into it. "Don't talk about me like that, at the very least, I am still very powerful, alright?" A fight between elementary school students. Zi Shan said. Yi Hong really wanted to refute, for example, ask elementary school students to fight like this, but he didn't dare to refute his wife. It was fortunate that the blood demon and Feng Tian didn't hear the conversation between the women. If not, they would definitely join hands to deal with Qing Yutong first. However, it seems like I won't be able to win against them either. A blood sword appeared in the hands of the blood demon. The entire sword looked as if it was flowing with blood. The blood demon raised his hand and lightly caressed the body of the sword, then said faintly, "This sword was forged using the blood of my clansmen. Although it cannot compare to a prehistoric godly item, it can still be considered to be a second-grade prehistoric godly item." Humph. The sword in my hands is the golden light glove, but if I add your blood and qi into it, it will become a true prehistoric godly item. Feng Tian stretched out both of his fists, and a terrifying aura was emitted out from the golden light glove, which actually condensed into a golden light and attacked towards the blood demon. Chapter 506. The golden light and the red light collided. Boom! The collision created a huge shockwave that swept across the area. The abandoned factory that was on the verge of collapse collapsed instantly. Dust flew everywhere. Qing Yutong and the others had no choice but to leave. They didn't want their clothes to be dirted. The 5 of them sat in the air and looked down. It felt good. The angle was just right. Luckily, they were in the suburbs and it was an abandoned place. So, they didn't cause any commotion. When the dust was blown away by the wind, Feng Tian and Blood Demon were standing in the ruins. Their bodies were glowing and they were easy to recognize. Blood Demon, submit to me and offer your blood qi. You can have anything you want. Feng Tian wanted to use another method to obtain Blood Demon's blood qi. He didn't expect Blood Demon to be so powerful. His plan was wrong. Blood Demon waved the blood sword in his hand and said calmly, I want your life now. Seems like there is no way to negotiate. That's right. Feng Tian took a deep breath and shouted. Spiritual energy erupted from his body. The broken stones on the ground floated up and the ground started to tremble. This was just the aura he released. Blood Demon didn't want to be outdone. His body shook. Blood chi was released from his body. It was filled with ghostly wails and wolf howls, making people feel pressured. Actually, Feng Tian's guess was right. This wasn't Blood Demon's true strength. After being sealed for so long, he was already very weak. It would take a long time for him to recover. Now, he was just forcefully holding on. Although he was forcefully holding on, he could still fight against Feng Tian. This showed how powerful he was when he wasn't sealed. Unfortunately, he was sealed before he could harm the world. Feng Tian roared in anger as he punched out with his golden fist. His speed was extremely fast as a wave of qi swept across the area, shaking the heavens and the earth. This was just a simple punch, but it was able to create such a strong pressure. It was all because of the golden light set in his hand. Blood Demon's eyes narrowed. His body was weak now. Escaping was the best option. However, this was his first battle. How could he escape? A strong cultivator naturally had his own pride. Even if he knew he was going to die, he would still fight to the end. He placed the blood sword in front of his chest. The dazzling golden fist immediately smashed onto the blood sword, producing a dazzling circular vibration wave. It was a beautiful sight. The Blood Demon actually took a step back, his right foot sinking deep into the ground. Ba Divine Fist. A terrifying aura appeared on Feng Tian's right hand. He didn't expect it to be so easy to get close to him. This Blood Demon was really arrogant. The dazzling golden light illuminated the entire sky and blasted towards the Blood Demon with a destructive force. The Blood Demon furrowed his brows and once again placed the blood sword in front of his chest. Boom! Suddenly, the Blood Demon's body slid back more than 10 meters, leaving a deep groove in the ground. It was truly terrifying. Blood Demon. If you submit to me now, you still have a chance to live. Feng Tian twisted his shoulders, and his hands opened and closed. Golden light flourished, and the more he fought, the more imposing he became. Really? Feng Tian's eyes widened because the voice came from behind him. He didn't have time to think and immediately pulled away. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain on his shoulder. The blood sword was like a baby, greedily sucking the blood. The Blood Demon looked at Feng Tian, who was pulling away. I told you. You don't know my strength at all. Even though I'm weak right now, you're still not my match. Feng Tian looked at the wound on his arm. He didn't expect the Blood Demon to be so fast. How infuriating. Feng Tian had the advantage of weapons, but the Blood Demon wasn't someone to be trifled with. This was a man who said that he would bring disaster to the world. If he didn't have some skills, he wouldn't dare to say such arrogant words. Blood Demon, don't force me. Feng Tian shouted in a deep voice. So what if I force you? Feng Tian's expression changed drastically. The Blood Demon was clearly in front of him, but the voice came from behind him. He didn't have time to think and dodged hurriedly. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain on his thigh. The Blood Demon stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked the blood on his sword. I will stab you to death, one stab at a time. Feng Tian panted heavily. This Blood Demon was indeed powerful. As expected of a sealed character. He had thought too little of him. Blood Demon, I will give you another chance. If you submit to me now, you might still have a chance to live. Feng Tian shouted in a deep voice, and his golden eyes started to spin. Human. Your shameless words will cause you to die a painful death. Feng Tian heaved a sigh of relief and the golden light set in his hand disappeared. The Blood Demon chuckled when he saw Feng Tian's actions. Why? Not fighting anymore. Feng Tian stared at the blood demon and removed his mask with his right hand. No. I have already given you a chance. You didn't cherish it. The mask fell to the ground slowly. The left side of Feng Tian's face wasn't skin at all. Instead, it was golden like his eyes. It was very textured, as if his face was coated with a layer of gold oil. However, the blood demon didn't find it funny. Because he couldn't see through Feng Tian the moment he removed his mask. This caused the blood demon's heart to sink. After removing his mask, Feng Tian didn't move at all. This caused the blood demon to feel a sense of pressure. He who attacked first had the upper hand. The blood demon used his insane speed again and instantly appeared behind Feng Tian. He swung his sword. However, the blood demon's eyes widened in disbelief as he watched his opponent grab his blood sword. How was this possible? While blood demon was distracted for a moment, a fist came at him with an ear-piercing sound. The speed was so fast that even blood demon could not react in time. His left cheek caught the other party's fist, and his body was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing into the ruins. Qing Yutang, who was eating melon seeds in the air, had a dumbfounded look on her face. What's going on? He suddenly rose to power. He was beaten up badly just now. Zi Shan said in a deep voice, he should have used some kind of secret technique. It's not a secret technique. It's just that his mask is suppressing his own power. However, from the looks of it now, it's as though he's a completely different person. Maybe he's a completely different person before and after the mask, Brett speculated. He had seen this phenomenon before. LV Liang drank her Pepsi and mumbled, that blood demon is going to be in big trouble. It had to be said that the blood demon was indeed very unlucky. Back then, he had vowed to bring disaster to the common people. In the end, he was sealed by a group of people before he could even step out of his house. So many years had passed, and he had just come out when he met someone with ulterior motives. Moreover, his strength was so strong. In actuality, the blood demon shouldn't be called the blood demon, he should be called the misfortune demon. Feng Tian, who was in the middle of the battlefield, suddenly let out an eerie laughter. Useless fellow. You still want me to come and help you, trash. After saying that, he shot out and dived into the ruins. Chapter 507. A series of maniacal laughter reverberated in the ruins. Feng Tian's body was like a ghost as he appeared above blood demon's head. Feng Tian clasped his hands together and raised them high. Then, he ruthlessly struck the blood demon's head. Boom! A shockwave spread out in the sky and blood demon's body fell again, creating a huge crater in the ground. However, Feng Tian did not notice the 5 women in the sky. The blood demon in the pit slowly stood up. Before he could react, a black shadow appeared in front of him. Feng Tian ruthlessly punched blood demon's abdomen. Blood demon's entire body bent as he endured the tremendous force. This was an unreasonable and violent attack. There was no strange cultivation technique, only the power of his fists, which made it impossible to fight back. Coupled with that strange speed, it was simply impossible to defend against. If it was the blood demon at full strength, then there was still a chance to fight back. Unfortunately, this was the weakened version of the blood demon, so it could not fight back at all. Even the blood sword fell to the ground. Feng Tian grabbed blood demon's neck with his left hand and lifted him up. At this moment, blood demon's face was already swollen. His handsome appearance was gone forever. Bang! His right fist landed on the blood demon's abdomen once again, and the ground beneath Feng Tian's feet cracked from the impact. Bang! Another punch landed on the blood demon's abdomen. The blood demon's body was getting softer and softer, and his aura was getting weaker and weaker. A few more punches would probably kill him. This Feng Tian was truly terrifying. His strength was unimaginable. If Yi Zizi knew that such a person existed, she would definitely challenge him. After all, Yi Zizi was the representative of strength. Even Yi Hua, who was his honor, was weaker than Yi Zizi in terms of strength. Trash, you can't even deal with such trash. After saying that, he punched Blood Demon again. Blood Demon was already on the verge of death, but he still had a breath of life left. If he punched again, he would die. Feng Tian ruthlessly threw Blood Devil to the ground and stepped on his chest. Blood Devil's chest caved in. It was too cruel. Blood Demon didn't even have the strength to speak now. His eyes were red and swollen from the beating, and he looked at the terrifying man in front of him with horror. He was the famous Blood Demon. Inhumane Blood Demon. But today, he was actually beaten to such a state by a person. Back then, those deities could only seal me up. Feng Tian lowered his head and looked at Blood Demon, and his golden eyes began spinning crazily. The Blood Devil was startled and began to struggle helplessly. What kind of move was this? Why did it feel like the blood chi in its body was surging, as if it was about to break out of its body? After that, the golden eyes grew brighter and brighter. The blood chi in the Blood Demon's body was actually forcibly pulled out, and a huge amount of blood chi was absorbed by the golden eyes. The Blood Demon let out a mournful howl. This pain was no less than having his bones pulled out. Feng Tian's golden eyes were gradually dyed red, forming a pair of pupils that was half red and half gold. It was extremely strange. Blood Demon's Feng Demon of. And of. Of Blood Tian of Feng Blood Demon's blood of all the cries of pain continued, and the 5 women who were watching the show from the air were a little surprised. This Blood Demon is too pitiful, right? LV Liang hurriedly ate a spicy strip to calm herself down. Qin Yutong drank a mouthful of Wangzi milk. That's right, it's so miserable. Zi Shan suddenly took a glance at Yi Hong, and a golden light flashed past her beautiful eyes. Yi Hong was so frightened that he hurriedly looked elsewhere. My wife is too terrifying, this is a living warning to me. Brett said indifferently. After this man absorbed the Blood Demon, his strength increased greatly. How strong is it? Qin Yutong asked curiously. Brett stretched out his index finger, pressed his fingernail, and said, it might be that strong. Everyone smiled helplessly. Others can't even compare to your fingernails. Stop bragging. After a long while, Feng Tian finally stopped. Although Blood Demon was still alive, he wanted to die right now. Feng Tian picked up the mask on the ground and put it on. His body trembled and he seemed to have changed again. Slowly walking to Gorfine's side, Feng Tian faintly said, I've already told you, submit to me and you'll still have a chance to live. You won't listen. The Blood Demon glared at Feng Tian, as if saying, even if I die, I won't let you off. However, I still have to thank you for your blood chi, it was able to help me refine the Desolate Era's godly item. Also, I will accept your sword as well, you can just slowly wait for your death here. After finished speaking, Feng Tian walked into the ruins and carried Feng Di out. After that, he searched for the 5 women, but they were actually nowhere to be seen. I reckon that they were squashed to death, what a pity. After Feng Tian left, he left behind the Blood Demon who was on the verge of death. Brett, did you use the GPS? Qing Yutong warned. The Blood Demon is a hidden danger, I have to know the location of the Blood Demon. Brett said calmly, don't worry. Qing Yutong was at ease. Since brother-in-law likes to act cool so much, when the time comes, I will let brother-in-law beat him up until he is unable to take care of himself. We have finished eating our snacks, let's go down and take a look at the Blood Demon. In any case, brother-in-law still wants to see him. Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. This was what she found out from the 2 brothers. Brother-in-law intentionally released the blood demon because he wanted to see how the blood demon would bring harm to the common people. But right now, not to mention bringing harm to the common people, the blood demon can't even take care of himself. The 5 women landed beside the blood demon, and when the blood demon sensed that more people had arrived, he slightly opened his eyes and saw that it was actually 5 women. When I look at him from such a close distance, he really looks miserable. His face is already swollen like this, and to think that I said that he was a handsome guy earlier. Qing Yutong squatted down and sized up the blood demon. The others squatted down as well, looking at the blood demon as if they were looking at a rare animal. This caused the blood demon to almost collapse. LV Liang lightly nodded her head. That's right, he was so formidable when he came out from the beginning. Especially that sentence, "You don't know anything about my strength," Brett said slowly. Qing Yutong let out a breath of relief. Look at him now, he got slapped in the face by others, right? Stop talking, the blood demon is coughing out blood. Zi Shan cried out in surprise. He coughed out a lot of blood. Right now, the blood demon felt even more despair than death. Their words were like sharp blades that pierced into his chest. Thinking back to how he was just now, he truly felt so humiliated. I actually said those words, and then I got beaten up by others. Qing Yutong persuaded, blood demon, don't be like this, how can a person not get beaten up in the underworld? This is normal, I was also beaten up by brother-in-law before. The scene immediately quietened down, and Qing Yutong's small face reddened. Don't misunderstand, he only hit the back of my hand, not my butt. Everyone, LV Liang asked in distress, the blood demon is already beaten up to such a state, what should we do? Should we still bring him back? That's right, if we were to bring him back, brother-in-law would be scared. Qing Yutong nodded her head. How about we just bury him, he is quite pitiful. Zi Shan said unhurriedly. Yi Hong's entire body immediately went numb. Chapter 508. LV Liang can't make the decision. What if his honor has other motives? Yi Hua immediately contacted Uncle Wei to see what Uncle Wei's decision would be. Right now, Wei Chong was currently sleeping while hugging onto Xiao Tang. Of course, it was the normal kind of hug. Hearing that LV Liang had already completed the mission and even captured the blood demon, Wei Chong immediately woke up. His honor wants to see this blood demon and see how he brings disaster to the common people. Without much time to think, Wei Chong hurriedly contacted his honor. Meanwhile, Yi Hua was also sleeping soundly while hugging on to Qingya. Tonight, I asked Qingya a few times, and even my wife fell asleep. I heard from Wei Chong that LV Liang captured the blood demon. This doesn't seem right. My request is to release the blood demon and not to capture it. However, since the blood demon is already captured, what else can I say? I should go and take a look first. After leaving behind a mirror image, Yi Hua arrived at Leisure Bar. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong and the others were too embarrassed to continue burying the blood demon, so they decided to let brother-in-law take a look first. The news of capturing the blood demon spread out very quickly, and even Lai Gu and Zhu Tian came over to take a look at the blood demon that brought disaster to the common people. Even Death Mage and Sun Fong came over to take a look. However, when everyone saw the blood demon, they felt that, is this really the blood demon that brought disaster to the common people? Why was he beaten up so miserably? Yi Hua didn't dare to believe that the person who was beaten up so badly was the blood demon. Wasn't he known to bring disaster to the common people? Why was he beaten up like this? Are you guys sure that this is the blood demon? Yi Hua lowered his head and asked gravely. LV Liang said respectfully, Your Honor, this is the blood demon. In the beginning, his image was still pretty good, but because he was acting cool, he ended up being beaten up like this. Lai Gu felt sad just by looking at the blood demon, even his breastbone was stepped on, so pitiful. Zhu Tian secretly took a look at Brett, then continued to observe the blood demon, not knowing what he was thinking. I thought that this blood demon was a person that brought disaster to the common people, but in the end, I am truly disappointed. Yihua shook his head. He was a bit disappointed. Brother-in-law, quickly look, the blood demon is vomiting blood again. Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. The blood demon could be seen vomiting blood non-stop. Just now, he had been pretending to be unconscious, but when he heard those people's words, his heart felt pain. This is even more painful than being beaten up. I, a blood demon, is inhumane. I am a person that brings disaster to the common people. This was the first time he was sealed before he even stepped out of his house. The second time he came out of the seal, he was even beaten up. This was only the physical pain, but what happened next was like a sharp blade with blood stabbing into his heart. None of them were human. The blood demon was really pitiful. He didn't even use any moves and was beaten to the ground. On one hand, he had underestimated his opponent. On the other hand, Feng Tian was too strong. What a useless blood demon. You've been beaten to such a state, yet you still want to dirty my reputation. Yihua said coldly. With a light wave of his right hand, a green halo of light enveloped the blood demon, and the blood demon's external injury started healing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Even the blood demon's sunken ribs started expanding. Tell me, how did he get beaten up like this? Yihua asked faintly. Why didn't Yihua kill the blood demon? Because there was a very good explanation for Yihua not killing the blood demon, and that was because Yihua himself was also a member of the blood demon race. Yihua wouldn't kill the blood demon recklessly, because Yihua himself was also a member of the blood demon race. In the past, Yihua even had the thought that the blood demon should unite and attack the humans. Unfortunately, his wish wasn't realized. LV Liang told Yihua about what happened. After listening to what happened, Yihua went into a slight daze. This blood demon was actually tricked by a human. This is truly a pleasant surprise. Furthermore, the human that LV Liang talked about seems to be very valiant. To be able to beat the blood demon to such a state with just his physical body, this is a bit formidable. Where is that person? Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then asked faintly. Brett said respectfully, Your Honor, please be at ease, I have already locked onto his aura. Hearing Brett's words, Zhu Tian slightly looked over. Seeing that a layer of frost had appeared on Brett's beautiful face, Zhu Tian didn't say anything. Very good, Brett. Keep a close eye on him first, see what exactly he is planning to do. Yes. Brett knelt down and accepted the order. Everyone looked at the blood demon on the ground. He was actually pretending to be unconscious. Is he really a blood demon? Did he make a mistake? The blood demon thought that no one would be able to tell that he was pretending to be unconscious. However, that was a technique cast by a supreme overlord. No matter how heavy his injuries were, he would be able to recover. It wasn't that the blood demon didn't want to get up, but rather, it was truly too embarrassing. Furthermore, I feel that the group of people around me seems to be very formidable. I am a person who is going to bring calamity to the world. I am a lone wolf. How can I possibly team up with humans? Lai Gu kicked the blood demon on the ground, still pretending, Get up. The blood demon remained unmoved. I will get up just because you want me to get up. I, the blood demon, am. Lai Gu stepped onto the blood demon's finger, causing the blood demon to let out a miserable cry and immediately sat up. This group of people is simply shameless, to actually use the method of stepping on someone's finger to wake someone up, so impolite. The blood demon took a look at the surroundings. Just now, I wasn't able to see the faces of those 5 women clearly. Now that I have a clear look at their faces, I can't help but exclaim in admiration. However, now isn't the time to exclaim in admiration. Those 5 men don't seem to be people that I can afford to offend. You are the blood demon? Yihua asked faintly. The blood demon's brows wrinkled. The voice came from behind him. He turned around and looked towards Yihua. This man actually looks even better than me, how is this possible? That's right, I am the blood demon. Wei Chang shouted out coldly, audacious. Why aren't you saluting when you see his honor? The blood demon's gaze became grave, you are an overlord. Or are you one of those ancient deities? Hearing that, Yihua suddenly laughed out loudly. Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and the others also revealed a smile on their faces. This is mocking the blood demon for being ignorant, to actually compare those low-class people with the great overlord. The ancient deities were much more high-class than ordinary deities. Take Heaven's Mansion for example, the ancient deities were just like a group of people that lived in the capital, and overlord belonged to the higher-ups of the ancient deities. As for deities like Heaven's Mansion, they might only live in a remote small city. Meanwhile, the blood demon directly mistook Yihua as an overlord or one of those ancient deities, causing Yihua to feel that it was funny. Why aren't you kneeling down? Brett shouted out coldly and immediately let out a strong pressure. Right now, how could the blood demon, who did not have any strength, be able to withstand Brett's anger? The blood demon directly kneeled down in front of Yihua and was unable to even stand up. Yihua kept away the smile on his face, then lowered his head and said, Overlord. Ancient deities. They are all trash, the reason why they are still alive is because I, the Supreme Overlord, didn't touch them. Beads of sweat appeared on the blood demon who was kneeling on the ground as he asked, Just who are you? Impudent. To actually not use honorifics when facing an overlord. Brett shouted out again, and the pressure that he released increased once again, causing the floor that was beneath the blood demon's knees to crack. Although the blood demon had lost his strength, the body of the blood demon was still very tough. Chapter 509. Looking at the shock on the blood demon's face, Yihua felt a bit refreshed. I like this kind of look, and of course, that look of despair. If the highest title is Supreme Overlord, then I will be the Supreme Overlord. Yihua breathed out a mouthful of smoke, and his tone was very indifferent, as if he looked down on this Supreme Overlord title. After hearing it for 5 years, he was already sick of hearing it. The blood demon was astonished. This man in front of me is actually the legendary Supreme Overlord. How is this possible? Why would a Supreme Overlord appear in this kind of place? This is very illogical. I heard that Supreme Overlords are all lone wolves, and I am also developing in this direction. Seeing that the blood demon was already scared to the point that he couldn't speak anymore, Yihua asked, I heard that you want to bring disaster to the world. The blood demon didn't dare to be careless anymore, and he shouted out respectfully, Your Excellency Supreme Overlord, my wish is to bring disaster to the world. Do you have a plan? Yihua asked faintly. The blood demon went into a daze. Plan? Of course, without a plan, how are you going to bring disaster to the world? For example, what are you going to do at the start, and what are you going to do after that? In actuality, Yihua didn't have a plan in the past, and he would just kill wherever he went, but now, he knew the importance of a plan. I didn't even have the time to think of a plan before I was sealed. The blood demon said hesitantly. What is a plan? A plan can't keep up with changes. It is precisely because you didn't have a plan that you met with changes, and thus, you didn't have any countermeasures. To put it in simpler terms, you are stupid. Yihua shook his head. This blood demon is just ordinary, other than being a different race like me. He doesn't have any outstanding abilities. Yihua continued, as a blood demon, I was actually tricked by someone. This is truly embarrassing. Your Excellency Supreme Overlord, that person is really powerful, you must believe me. Qin Yutong laughed, that is because you don't know anything about my brother-in-law's strength. Of course, it is different from what you said. The blood demon's white face slightly reddened. Upon thinking about how he said that he didn't know anything, his face really felt hot. Even if I keep that kind of person for now, he won't be able to cause any trouble. The blood demon hurriedly said, Your Excellency Supreme Overlord, that person absorbed my blood chi, and his strength greatly increased. Furthermore, he also has formless ancient godly items, and I'm afraid that they have already taken form. Their strength is even more terrifying. Yihua was satisfied with Blood Demon's attitude. Blood Demon told Yihua everything that he knew without hiding anything. I won't be beaten black and blue like you, Yihua said coldly. The Blood Demon didn't say anything. This was an unmatched supreme being, so he definitely had a way. Yihua had already lost interest in the Blood Demon, and he was instead interested in that Feng Tianlai. You can leave, Yihua said faintly. It was already extremely benevolent of him to heal his injuries. After all, both of them were from different races, and it wasn't easy for them to live. Blood Demon slowly stood up, cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Supreme Supremacy. Let's go, there's no need to bootlick anymore. Blood Demon took a deep breath, turned around and walked towards the door. I, Blood Demon, am a lone wolf. That's right. It was lone wolf. But sometimes a lone wolf needs the support of a pack. The Blood Demon stopped his footsteps, then turned around, walked toward Yihua, and knelt down. Supreme Overlord, please take me in. Why should I take you in? Yihua asked indifferently. Blood Demon went into a daze, then kowtowed to Yihua and said, I know how to clean, and I am able to mop the floor to the extent that I can lick it. Everyone, so it turns out that this Blood Demon isn't completely useless, he actually has such a talent. He is a hybrid talent. If this Blood Demon said something like dedicating himself to the utmost, Yihua would have chased him away and let him fend for himself. But after hearing what he said, Yihua's interest was piqued. Recently, Leisure Bar has indeed lacked a cleaner, and furthermore, this cleaner is free of charge. Let's see how I mop the floor and lick it first. All right. I am looking forward to seeing you mop the floor. Thank you, Your Honor. Blood Demon was overjoyed. After all, if I mop the floor for a Supreme Overlord, I will have a lot of face. Blood Demon could be seen walking to the side, then picking up the bucket and the mop, he began to mop the floor. This is truly a hard-working Blood Demon. Don't look down on a hard-working man, he is someone who knows when to yield and when to stand tall. Yihua looked at everyone and started a commendation ceremony. This mission has ended, those who deserve to be praised must be praised. In this mission, everyone did well. Yihua swept his gaze across everyone and said gravely. Blood Demon who was mopping the floor at the side was very puzzled. What mission? Although my mission was to let you all release the Blood Demon reasonably and then see how he brings calamity to the common people, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. It is pardonable. Yihua's words almost caused the Blood Demon to fall. So my appearance was actually the Supreme Overlord's intention. The Supreme Overlord wanted to see how I bring calamity to the common people. My God, why did such a thing happen? So my appearance was actually someone else's mission. Everyone didn't care about the Blood Demon who was mopping the floor at the side at all. Hearing his honor's commendation, everyone present was very happy. Among them, LV Liang and Yi Hong's performance was not bad. As newcomers, to be able to do so much, it is truly not easy. Yihua said faintly. LV Liang and Yi Hong who were heavily praised kneeled on the floor and shouted, Thank you, Your Honor, for your praise. Among them, there is also Wei Chang, Death Mage, and Sun Fang's help, all of them are worthy of praise. The three hurriedly kneeled on the floor and shouted out respectfully, We serve Your Honor. Bright is also not bad. Upon hearing that, Bright became happy. Subordinate is not bad. The current stage of the mission ends here. Bright, you continue to investigate that man called Feng Tian. Yes. As for the rest of you, go and do what you are supposed to do, and reconcile with those who should reconcile with each other. I do not wish to hear any more about divorce. Do you understand? Yihua shouted out coldly, and a cold glint could be seen in his eyes. Everyone didn't dare to breathe loudly, and all of them kneeled on the floor, subordinate obeys. Even the blood demon who was mopping the floor at the side also kneeled down. Since everyone is kneeling down, it doesn't seem right for me to not kneel down, right? Yihua nodded his head, then disappeared from leisure bar. Returning back to my bed and hugging my wife to sleep, this is the most comfortable thing in my life. Seeing that his honor had left, everyone let out a breath of relief and stood up. Zhu Tian looked at Bright, who was not far away from him, then slowly walked over and asked with concern, "Does your wound still hurt?" "I have some medicine with me." "Scram!" Bright shouted out coldly, then immediately disappeared from leisure bar's lobby. Pitiful, this is what a man is, only when he regrets will he know how to cherish. Zhu Tian was indeed regretting. When he saw Bright chopping off his own wing, his heart was aching endlessly. Although he heard that his honor said that Bright was fine now, Zhu Tian still wanted to ask about it. Chapter 5:10. Everyone, I'll be taking my leave first. After saying so, absolute heaven disappeared. Lai Gu pouted his mouth. I told him to scram, and he really scram. I scram as well. After Lai Gu left, Death Mage and Sun Fang left as well. Although they didn't say much, they were still very happy to be praised by his honor. Qing Yutong also left while yawning. This night was rather happy. Yizizi actually didn't join in. She is truly becoming more and more obedient. He really missed the old Yizizi. Wei Chang smiled at the green and red brothers and said, "You two have done well, keep up the good work." "Thank you for your praise, Uncle Wei." The green and red brothers shouted respectfully. Uncle Wei was a good person, he was amiable and amiable. With a flick of Wei Chang's index finger, a mass of black fog enveloped the green and red brothers. Very soon, they returned to their original forms. However, the clothes that they were wearing were unbearable to look at. When Blood Demon saw this, his eyes almost popped out. So those two were men. Just now, I was, so disgusting. Wei Chang patted on Yi Hong's shoulder. It's not easy for Zishan, talk to her properly, don't make her sad anymore. Yes, thank you for your concern, Uncle Wei. When she first joined the team, Yi Hong was not used to it. But now, she felt that it was a big family. Everyone looked out for each other, and it was very warm. Wei Chang and LV Shu also left first, leaving the space for Yi Hong and Zishan. Yi Hong was wearing women's clothing, and when she looked at Zishan, who had a cold expression on her face, she felt a little nervous and restless. He glanced at the blood demon who was mopping the floor. The blood demon paused and immediately turned around, pretending not to hear. He didn't expect this blood demon to have such a gossipy heart. Yi Hong coughed softly. "Why are you still standing there? Go away first." Blood demon dragged the floor and slid behind the bar counter. Then, he immediately stopped and leaned back to eavesdrop. Suddenly, Blood Demon felt someone behind him. He was so shocked that he became excited. "Shove!" Lai Gu glared at the Blood Demon, and when the Blood Demon turned his head around, he actually saw the so-called Uncle Wei. There was also the white-clothed Absolute Heaven. And that skeleton and Sun Fang. There was also LV Shu. Oh my god. So I'm not the only one who's gossipy, these people are all gossipy. Holy shit. Even a supreme being was here. Heavens, what kind of place was this? This was the home of gossip. Perhaps even Yi Hong did not expect that everyone who had just left would return and hide behind to watch the show. Originally, Yi Hua was preparing to sleep, but after hearing that Wei Chang said that there would be a good show to watch, he ran back. I want to see how this Yi Hong is going to beg his wife for forgiveness. Yi Hong could be seen swallowing her saliva, then walking towards Zishan. Stop right there. If you have something to say, say it. Don't come near me. Zishan's beautiful eyes turned cold as she shouted coldly. So fierce, Yi Hong immediately stood still and looked at Zishan while trembling with fear. Yi Hong didn't dare to go against Zishan in the slightest, as Zishan is someone that I can't afford to offend. That, wife. Who's your wife? Didn't you want a divorce? Call me Zishan. I'm not familiar with you. The gore fiend thought to himself that human women were really fierce, too fierce. He's 10,000 times more savage than me, the blood demon. Yi Hong's heart sank when he heard his wife's words. Is she really going to divorce me? Zishan, don't be angry, can you listen to what I have to say? Yi Hong took in a deep breath. This matter is my fault, it is only right for me to be scolded by my wife. What Uncle Wei said is right, it is indeed not easy for Zishan to marry me, it has been too hard on her. Zishan snorted and did not say anything. Lai Gu had a look of disappointment on his face. Actually, Zishan being willing to stand here and listen to your explanation is giving you a chance. To not even understand this, you are too stupid. Only stupid people have stupid luck. Yi Hua said faintly. What your honor said is reasonable. What your honor said is too good. Your honor's words are spot on. The gore fiend thought inwardly. Damn it, all of you are just a bunch of bootlickers. Soon after, the gore fiend said, Your honor's words have touched the heavens, I am about to cry. Lai Gu and the others looked at the gore fiend. F***K, this shameless bastard. Yi Hong, who was at the scene, took in a deep breath and said gravely, Wife, I was wrong. Where are you wrong? Zishan shouted out, but she didn't refute Yi Hong's way of addressing her. Yi Hong really wished that his big brother was here to give him advice. Wife, I shouldn't have been fierce towards you, and I shouldn't have proposed a divorce. Yi Hong said weakly. You are still talking about a divorce. I won't say it, I won't say it. Zishan nodded her head, then continued, What else? Wife, I should be understanding of your difficulties. You treat me so well, and yet, I was fierce towards you. I shouldn't have done that. Can you forgive me this once? After hearing what Zishan said, Lai Gu let out a deep sigh. People are forced out. Yi Hua said faintly, Aren't people forced out? The people who were hiding at the back were startled, and soon after, they looked at his honor with a gaze of worship. As expected of our leader. At this scene, Zishan's beautiful eyes were tightly staring at her husband, and the latter didn't dare to look straight at his wife's eyes. He was terrified like a dog. Look at me. Zishan shouted out. Yi Hong slowly raised his head, and when he saw his wife's cold and beautiful eyes, he immediately turned his face away. Where did your imposing manner that day go? Did it get eaten by a dog? Zishan was disappointed that her husband didn't live up to her expectations. Why is my husband so afraid of me? This is not a good sign. Yi Hong is such a person, if you love her, you must listen to her. Are you going to listen to me in the future? Zishan shouted out. Yi Hong nodded her head. Speak. Listen, louder. Listen. The people who were hiding at the back were about to roll over from laughter, and Lai Gu and LV Liang even took out their phones to record the scene. Yi Hua revealed out a trace of a smile. This can also be counted as adjusting the atmosphere in the team. Seeing that everyone is so happy, it seems like Yi Hong's divorce wasn't made for nothing. Do you still dare to be fierce towards me in the future? Zishan's tone slowly became less cold, and there was even a trace of sobbing in her voice. Thinking back to the Yi Hong from that day, Zishan felt sad. This version of Yi Hong is still the best, he is so obedient, just like a little puppy. I don't dare. Yi Hong said sincerely. Do you still dare to scold me in the future? Zishan's sobbing became louder and louder, she was extremely sad. Yi Hong saw that his wife was crying and shouted out anxiously, "Wife, don't cry. Don't come over, answer me." Tears flowed out from Zishan's eyes as she sobbed. I don't dare to do it anymore, in the future, I will do whatever you say, I promise to listen to you. Whoa! Zishan immediately squatted on the ground and started crying loudly. Seeing this, Yi Hong felt extremely distressed and hurriedly went forward and hugged onto his wife. Meanwhile, Zishan hugged onto her husband and used a set of a "return me Bobo" punch with all her might. Those muffled sounds that rang out made one tremble with fear. Chapter 5:11. If I hide, who are you going to hit? Yi Hong tightly hugged onto his wife. This time, he didn't separate from his wife anymore. Looking at her husband's sincere gaze, Zishan shouted out with a crying tone, "Kiss me." Everyone cheered for Zishan's domineering manner, and even Yihua felt that Zishan was truly a heroine among women. However, when everyone stretched their heads out to look, the scene seemed to have changed a bit. Death Mage also stretched his head out, and he was immediately pulled back by Sun Fang. Death Mage gave Death Mage a deep gaze, seemingly saying, "You dare to look at me? Do you still want to live in this world? Wife, this isn't good, right?" Yi Hong was a bit embarrassed. After all, this is his honor's bar. Didn't you say that you will listen to me just now? Zishan shouted out. Yi Hong felt that his brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. Hurry up and kiss me, be more domineering. Lai Gu took in a breath of cold air. This Zishan is valiant, I admire her. That's right. Wei Chong muttered. If only Tang Bingyao was this domineering. LV Liang shouted out, little brother, hurry up and kiss her. Zhu Tian stood at the side and pondered. Yihua was currently looking at the development of the situation. If a fight were to break out later on, I would be able to stop them. What else could Yi Hong do? He could only harden his heart and fiercely kiss his wife. F***K, this is too explosive, Blood Demon's eyeballs were about to pop out. Not only Blood Demon, everyone was entranced by the scene. The two phones even recorded this explosive scene. In the future, it will become a romantic story in the team. Suddenly, everyone was astonished by Zishan's action. Zishan could be seen pulling on Yi Hong's clothes. Yi Hong cried out in surprise, "Wife, what are you doing? I can't take it anymore. I have already been an old virgin for thousands of years, today, I want you to break it for me." Ah! Yi Hong's face immediately turned red. Everyone who was hiding at the back became even more excited. This is too exciting, we are actually doing it at a place like this. Zishan was too crazy, and Yi Hong held on to Zishan who was in a crazy state. "Wife, this place is really not suitable, how about we go home?" "All right. Go home." After finished speaking, the two disappeared from the bar. Seems like Yi Hong is finally going to end his long-distance running and squeeze into the line of men. The people hiding at the back were disappointed. "I've already taken off my pants, and this is what you're showing me." Lai Gu shook his head, "Your Honor, this Yi Hong must be punished, I am currently watching with great interest." Blood Demon couldn't help but nod. It turned out that there was such an exciting thing. It seemed more interesting than harming the common people. Yihua took a glare at Lai Gu. "What is there to look at? I also want to look at my little brother's bedroom. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never done this kind of thing before. Alright, let's disperse." After finished speaking, Yihua left first. It is still more comfortable to hug my wife to sleep. What is there to watch in this kind of thing? I, the Supreme Overlord, will definitely not watch this kind of thing next time. How interesting. Everyone left one after another. Blood Demon continued to mop the floor. He had just cleaned it up, but now he was stepping on it again. I, Blood Demon, am a clean freak. LV Liang took a deep breath. Her little brother had succeeded tonight, but what about her own matters? The blood race sisters were still waiting for her to draw their blood. Furthermore, to draw two blood sisters at once, I feel a little excited in my heart. Very soon, only the sound of Blood Demon mop the floor could be heard in Leisure Bar. It must be said that Blood Demon's adaptability was rather fast. His cultivation disappeared just like that, yet he is still able to mop the floor so seriously. Seems like this Blood Demon's heart is indeed very twisted, and one cannot look at him with the eyes of an ordinary person. At this moment, at a certain hotel in a small county near Long An City, Fong Tian was sitting on a chair under the window, and the injured Fong Di was lying on the bed. The eyes under Fong Tian's mask could be seen to be very strange. Right now, the eyes were half red and half gold, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of knocking rang out from the door. Fong Tian stood up and opened the door without thinking much. A refined man who was wearing a pair of glasses could be seen standing outside the door. Just that, the man gave off a feeling that he was a little otaku. The suit that he was wearing was a little loose, and his hair was also not tidied up properly, the kind that gave off a feeling of being both otaku and decadent. However, the moment the man walked into the room, his entire temperament instantly changed. His originally turbid gaze became deep, giving off a kind of awe-inspiring feeling. Is the blood clot that I gave you useful? The man sat on a chair at the side, took out a piece of tissue, and wiped his hands. It seemed that he liked to be clean. Fong Tian sat beside the man and said indifferently, "Qing Tian, what do you want?" Qing Tian folded the tissue in his hand and placed it on the glass table beside him. Then, he said indifferently, "Fong Tian, this world isn't as simple as you think, there are too many unknown factors. Qing Tian, you can hide in the city, but I can't. Now that I have obtained the blood chi of the Blood Demon, just wait for me to forge the ancient godly item." In this world, who wouldn't be convinced? Fong Tian's eyes flashed with madness and determination. Qing Tian's face was expressionless. He took off his glasses and asked, "What about the 5 women?" Fong Tian frowned. "You were at the scene." "Yes, I originally wanted to help you, but it seems that there is no need for that. You are making a choice, right?" Fong Tian laughed coldly. How realistic. If he died today, he would most likely go to the Blood Demon's side. "Yes, but I still think highly of you," Qing Tian said indifferently, his finger lightly sliding on his glasses. Fong Tian laughed coldly. "Thank you so much. Back to the topic, what about the 5 women? Do you know where they went?" Qing Tian asked. "Who knows, I think they were squashed to death." "Are you sure they were squashed to death? Instead of being like me?" Qing Tian chuckled sarcastically. Fong Tian's face darkened. He stared at Qing Tian. "What are you trying to say? Don't you think that the pure blood came too easily? Do you really think that the 5 women were squashed to death? Do you really think that no one is behind all of this?" Qing Tian's questions made Fong Tian calm down. There was indeed something fishy. The pure blood came too suddenly, it was as if it was prepared by someone. And if the 5 women weren't ordinary people, even he wouldn't be able to see through them. Actually, what I want to say is that there are too many strong enemies in this world, you can't defeat them easily. We can only work together, recruit more strong people, and build a perfect world together. Fong Tian chuckled. "Qing Tian, do you think I can believe you just because of what you said?" If you don't believe me, you will suffer a great loss. In fact, you have already taken a trip to the gates of hell tonight. Hee, do you think that I, Feng Tian, am easily frightened? Feng Tian, I have already conveyed my goodwill to you. Give me a call when you have thought it through. One person can't do anything big. Qing Tian left after speaking. Wife, I love you too. Yi Hong kissed Zi Shan's forehead, and Zi Shan had a look of enjoyment on her face. There is nothing more comfortable than lying in the embrace of the man that she loves. After a while, Zi Shan asked, Hubby, what do you want to eat for breakfast? I love you no matter what you do. Yi Hong smiled. Their relationship was even better now. Then I'll cook some noodles for you. Okay, I like your sauce. Yes, no problem. After washing up, they went downstairs. Yi Hong saw that her brother was watching TV early in the morning. It was a little strange. Zi Shan blinked her eyes, indicating for you to go and ask her, while she went to the kitchen. Big brother, what's wrong? Yi Hong sat at the side and asked. With a pair of panda eyes, LV Liang looked at his little brother with slanted eyes and said in a low voice, You still dare to ask me what's wrong? The two of you made such a big commotion, did you even consider my feelings? I am a man who was hurt by a woman before. Speaking up to here, LV Liang couldn't continue speaking. I'm so envious of my little brother, to be able to have a wife who loves him so much, and yet, I was cuckolded by another woman from head to toe. Just thinking about it makes my heart sour. Big brother, that is all in the past, you should have already forgotten about it. It shouldn't happen again in the future. Yi Hong comforted his little brother attentively. So big brother still hasn't walked out of this pit. Thinking about it, which man would be able to act as if nothing had happened? Unless he was cuckolded again. LV Liang looked at his little brother, and his expression collapsed. It shouldn't happen again. Could it be that it will happen again in your heart? Big brother, that's not what I meant. That's what you meant, right now, you want to see big brother become a joke. Big brother, that's really not what I meant. Yi Hong felt that in just one night, big brother had changed, so strange. LV Liang had a very painful expression on his face as he muttered, You can have no money, no car, no house, you can also have no dreams, and even have nothing, because they are all women. As long as they marry a rich man, they would have everything, but what about me? I have to face huge pressure every single day, I have to succeed. If I am unable to succeed, I will be heartlessly cuckolded by those women. At the start, Yi Hong thought that her big brother was talking about her. I indeed have no money, no car, no house, and no dreams, but when she was about to finish speaking, she found out that her big brother was actually talking about her, so close. Big brother, what you said is right, then what? LV Liang looked at his little brother seriously and muttered, I want to become a woman. Yi Hong, big brother. You calm down, you can't become addicted just because you became a woman for a few days. Wife, come quickly. Big brother wants to become a woman again. Yi Hong pulled onto his crazy big brother and shouted out loudly. Zi Shan hurriedly ran over and looked at her big brother. Actually, being a woman is pretty good, I think you are. LV Liang, Yi Hong, aw. I don't want to live anymore, all of you are bullying me. LV Liang pushed away his little brother and ran into the bedroom with strange footsteps. Why does Yi Hong feel that big brother's footsteps are so feminine? Seeing that her big brother had become like this, Zi Shan stared at Yi Hong and said, Husband, don't learn from your big brother, if not I. Zi Shan took out a spatula and stabbed it into the bedroom. Yi Hong immediately understood and nodded his head. Husband is so obedient, let me give you a kiss, mwah. Yi Hong touched onto his face. Why do I feel that I am a little puppy that is being fed? Who cares, if I am a little puppy then so be it. However, I have to take care of Big Brother's matters right now. After becoming a woman for a few days, I am unable to come back. Seems like what happened last night must have stimulated Big Brother. I am so blissful, but Big Brother is so miserable. It seems like I have to help Big Brother. Furthermore, the only ones who can save Big Brother are the blood sisters. Let them awaken Big Brother's identity as a man. Zishan carried a bowl of piping hot noodles out of the bedroom. Husband, eat the noodles. Yihong walked to the side of the dining table and said gravely, Wife, I am preparing to go down and have a talk with the blood sisters. Big Brother cannot continue like this. Then, is there anything that I can help you with? Zishan asked with concern. Wife, there is no need, I can take care of it myself. Chapter 5:13. After the meal, Yihong decided to use practical actions to repay her Big Brother's many years of kindness. Arriving outside of 7 Bar, Yihong took a deep breath and walked in. Not long after entering, she bumped into a foreigner. Yihong said that she came to look for the lady boss, that something happened to her Big Brother. As expected, when the vampire sisters heard that something happened to LV Liang, they hurriedly ran out. When they saw Yihong's stuttering look, Selena and Selena immediately hugged each other and cried bitterly. LV Liang, why did you die? We sisters are still waiting for you to come back. How can you bear to die alone? Yihong looked at the reaction of the sisters and was very confused. Did I express anything just now? They actually thought that Big Brother died. This is too scary, isn't it? Isn't that so? The 2 sisters were extremely worried these past 2 days. They were afraid that LV Liang died, and they were even more afraid that someone would come to look for them, and then have a look of not daring to say it, as if they were afraid that they would be sad. Don't say why, this is how it is played on TV, and it works every time. Who would have thought that LV Liang's little brother would come with such a heavy expression? The 2 sisters already knew that the worst thing had happened, and no one would come to draw blood for them anymore. Don't cry, my Big Brother, Before Yihong finished speaking, Selena asked, Is your Big Brother's corpse still intact? My Big Brother, Selena choked with sobs and said, Even if his corpse isn't intact, it doesn't matter, we will make him into a specimen. Yihong, my Big Brother didn't die. Yihong said this sentence in one breath. These 2 sisters are too easy to fill in the blanks, no wonder Big Brother is so afraid of them. The vampire sisters were startled, and immediately cried tears of joy. That is not far from death. Yihong added another sentence. The joy on the vampire sisters' faces froze, and they immediately cried again. Seems like this Yihong must not go out to do things by herself. If she were to meet someone who didn't have good comprehension ability, she would definitely be messed up like the vampire sisters. Don't cry, what I mean is, my Big Brother didn't die, he is still alive, just that his life is worse than death. This time, Yihong finally said everything she wanted to say. The Blood Tribe sisters also understood that they had suffered some kind of setback. They wiped their tears and sat down. Yihong also sat opposite them. Looking at the faces of the Blood Clan sisters, Yihong was still very happy for her Big Brother. Although he had been cuckolded in the past, how could he see the rainbow without experiencing the wind and rain? What's wrong with your Big Brother? Serena asked. Yeah, why do I feel like your Big Brother had a painful experience? Selena asked. Yihong sighed deeply. There's something you don't know. The 2 sisters didn't say anything. They looked at Yihong, wanting to hear about LV Shu's past. Do you know? I've been hanging out with my Big Brother since I was young, and we often mixed mud together. My Big Brother was in charge of fetching water, and I was in charge of mixing the mud. It's just that the smell of the water was a little strong, but we had a lot of fun, and my Big Brother took good care of me. As we grew older, we played house. My big brother was like a father, and he asked me to call him Daddy. At that time, I felt warmth, and my big brother was like a father, accompanying me and taking care of me. In order to repay my big brother's kindness, I purposely didn't get into college and chose to stay by my big brother's side so that he wouldn't be lonely. At that time, my big brother taught me how to make an afro and said that it was cool. Although I knew it was silly, I still listened to my big brother. We practiced dancing and swept the dust together on the mountain, and we almost swept the mountain flat. Those were such happy days. But that's not the point. The point is that my big brother's first relationship was with a girl who sold sesame seed cakes. My big brother would buy a few sesame seed cakes every morning, whether it was raining or thundering. My big brother felt that the girl was also interested in him, because when he was buying the sesame seed cakes, the girl didn't dare to look at my big brother. My big brother also knew that girls were shy, and it was normal that they didn't dare to look at her, so he didn't take it to heart. But until one day, my big brother saw the girl get into a Wuling Hongguang car. The girl that my big brother liked ended up with someone else, and the girl even said that she was cuckolded. On the next day, my big brother dyed himself cuckolded and went to interrogate that girl. In the end, my big brother and I were locked up for 10 days. My big brother was heartbroken. He was actually cheated by the girl and the man that he liked. From that time on, my big brother didn't like women anymore. Hearing till here, Serena cried out in surprise, "Could it be that your big brother likes men? Are the two of you true love?" Serena felt that in this story, the big brother and the little brother were the true love. Yi Hong, two ladies, I am a man with a wife, don't misunderstand, my big brother and I are brothers. We are not gay friends. Yi Hong hurriedly explained. This isn't a joke. If Si Shan misunderstood, then, hearing Yi Hong's affirmation, the two sisters felt at ease. Yi Hong continued, Big brother was completely disheartened. I didn't see him talk about girls anymore, and not long after, we even bought a Wuling Hongguang S. I know what big brother meant. Compared to the Wuling Hongguang car that picked up the girl back then, the Wuling Hongguang car had an extras, seemingly wanting that girl to regret her actions. But not long after, we saw that girl sitting on a Honda Civic, and the girl was very happy. Big brother, he, sigh. After listening to what LV Shu said, the two sisters finally understood. LV Shu was hurt by love, and that's why he wasn't willing to accept the two of them. My big brother was afraid, did you guys know? That kind of feeling of being cuckolded makes one wish that they were dead, and thus, he didn't dare to accept the two of you. These few days, when we went to complete the mission disguised as a woman, Big brother got a bit into the role, and even said those kinds of words about becoming a woman. I really don't have any other choice, only the two of you are able to awaken the hormones in Big brother's heart. Ah! LV Shu wanted to become a woman. Serena cried out in surprise, immediately feeling that the situation wasn't good. If LV Shu became a woman, what would happen to me and my big sister? We would have to live the rest of our lives alone. As the big sister, Serena immediately stood up and said, Where is your big brother right now? He's at home. Yi Hong said hurriedly. It would be great if I can help big brother return back to his original appearance. This kind of emotional trauma still needs to be treated by a woman. As a little brother, I can't help much. Quickly bring us there. All right. Without further ado, the three immediately rushed back to the villa. After Yi Hong told the two sisters the location of Big Brother's room, the two sisters immediately rushed over, fearing that LV Shu would castrate himself. You called him over so quickly? Zi Shan walked over and asked. That's right, Big Brother's emotions are so unstable right now, I'm afraid that he would go and find Uncle Wei and become a woman again. What, is it not good to be a woman? Zi Shan glared at Zi Shan. Yi Hong smiled apologetically, my wife is the best. Chapter 5:14. On the other side, the vampire sisters rushed into LV Liang's room and instantly locked the door. It seemed like they were going to do something shameful. Then, they looked dumbfoundedly at LV Liang, who was playing with the stockings. LV Liang looked at the vampire sisters, who suddenly came in with a dumbfounded expression. "So awkward, it's not like what you guys think. I don't have a thing for stockings. I only wore this stocking yesterday, and I was just about to throw it away." LV Liang. LV Liang. Along with the vampire sisters' cries of surprise, LV Liang's body paused. Perhaps it was because he got used to dressing up as a woman. He revealed a weak look. "LV Liang, where did your manliness go? LV Liang, how did you become like this? Even if you have any bad memories in the past, those are all in the past. Now that you have us, we won't make you a cuckold." LV Liang took in a deep breath and said faintly, "Seems like you guys already know about it. There's no need to say any more. It must be that little brother of mine who told you, right?" "That's right. I, LV Liang, have been cuckolded by a woman before, and the reason why I don't accept you guys is because I'm afraid. I'm very cowardly, and I often find superiority in front of my little brother. In actuality, I'm even more cowardly than my little brother. I don't deserve to be a man." When the two sisters heard what LV Liang said, their hearts sunk. LV Liang doesn't want to be a man anymore. How can this be? We have to let LV Liang know how it feels to be a man. The two sisters could be seen directly pressing LV Liang onto the bed, forming a posture of eating a spicy sandwich. "What are you two doing? Quickly let go of me, otherwise, I'm going to scream." LV Liang struggled with all his might, but the two sisters were simply too strong, and he was actually unable to struggle free. "Seems like I can only be slaughtered by them." Serena said faintly, "LV Liang, don't be a woman, it's more satisfying to be a man." "That's right, LV Liang, big sister is right, it's more interesting to be a man." Serena added. "How do you two know that it's better to be a man? I don't believe you two." LV Liang turned his face away, with a look of, "I won't believe you two no matter what, unless I prove it." Serena lowered her head and said, "My little sister and I will let you know that it's actually more satisfying to be a man." As they spoke, the two sisters' hands wandered all over LV Liang's body, but LV Liang remained unmoved. "No matter what you do, I will not yield. I, LV Liang, have a will of steel. How could I be tempted by such things?" "LV Liang, LV companion, are you happy?" Selena asked with a smile. LV Liang answered honestly, "I'm happy." Serena smiled. "Do you still want to be a woman?" "I don't want to." Damn it, with such a pair of beautiful sisters, what was the point of being a woman? Only a sick person would want to be a woman. LV Shu, you will rejoice in your choice. However, being the big brother would definitely feel better than being the little brother. These two beautiful sisters really knew how to have fun, allowing LV Liang to enjoy the comfort of an emperor. As expected of the blood race, they were very good at absorbing everything. Yi Hong and Zi Shan, who were sitting outside the living room, covered their ears with their hands. This commotion is too big. Like a pig being slaughtered. It wasn't the girl who was screaming, it was the big brother who was screaming. What was happening in the room that made the big brother scream like that? Zi Shan could be seen pulling Yi Hong up the stairs. "Honey, what are you doing? Let's call it that too." "Ah." Yi Hong was dumbfounded. How could this be compared? The green and red brothers finally had a perfect ending. Ever since they brought Dong Wangli out, their lives had undergone an earth-shattering change, and they became the subordinates of the Supreme Overlord. In an instant, they turned from an ordinary person into an unparalleled expert. Such a change didn't cause the two brothers to become arrogant and go to bully others. They were still living their lives the same as before. It wasn't easy for little brother Yi Hong and Zi Shan to reach where they were today. Little brother Yi Hong and Zi Shan, if you die, then I die. But now, everything is fine. Big brother Green has also successfully found a new love and is enjoying his boundless luck with women. These two brothers are truly winners in life. Voidless Realm's morning was filled with celestial mist. Even the place where deities lived wouldn't have such an environment. On the bed, Yi Hua was still sleeping while hugging onto Qinya, and on the corner of Qinya's mouth, there was saliva. Yi Hua looked at the water stain on his chest and felt very depressed. Why is Qinya's old problem acting up again? She is already so old, yet she is still drooling like a child. Look, she is still drooling right now. Qinya, wake up. Yi Hua called out to his wife faintly. Sniff, sniff, sniff don't. Qinya hugged onto her husband and began acting coquettishly. Girls, no matter how old they were, they would always like to act coquettishly in front of their husband. The purpose was to let their husband love and coax them. What do you mean don't want? Look at yourself, you are drooling again. If Qinya wasn't drooling, Yi Hua would still be able to coax her, but right now, he didn't have the mood to coax her anymore. Qinya opened her beautiful eyes and looked at the water stain on Yi Hua's chest. Her face turned red. Why am I drooling again? So embarrassing. You are going to be a mother soon. Are you going to drool together with your child? Yi Hua asked faintly. Qinya snorted, you keep scolding me, didn't I just drool a bit? It's not like I did it on purpose. Looking at Qinya's wronged look, Yi Hua couldn't bear to scold her anymore. All right, don't drool anymore in the future. If you have the ability, then don't hug onto me while I sleep. Qinya turned around and ignored Yi Hua. This Qinya is going against my will today, her wings have grown hard. Yi Hua domineeringly hugged onto Qinya and asked faintly, what did you say just now? You heard it. Qinya didn't fear the man in the slightest. Your guts have grown. Of course, I am his honor's woman, no one can afford to offend me, not even you. Hearing Qinya's hooting, Yi Hua laughed out. That's right, no one can afford to offend my woman, not even me. Stop flattering me, get up. Yi Hua smiled faintly. Qinya stood up, who is flattering you, narcissist? Go and fetch water for me to wash my face. Yi Hua was like a big boss who was ordering his wife to do something. Qinya rolled her eyes at her husband, then personally went out of the house to fetch water for her husband to wash his face. Although she can leave these things to the servants to do, Qinya feels that fetching water for her husband to wash his face is also a kind of happiness. Carrying the wash basin and walking into the house, Qinya finished arranging everything for Yi Hua. While washing his face, Yi Hua asked calmly, how did your discussion with Baizhi go? It's more or less done. After I settle the details, I will announce the news. Qinya said. And you two have to be careful. Looking at Yi Hua's expression, Yi Hua seemed to have realized something. Qinya asked curiously, what's wrong? Yesterday night, my subordinates had already captured the blood demon. Ah! You captured the blood demon so quickly. Qinya exclaimed in admiration. And where is he? Yi Hua said faintly, he is mopping the floor at the bar. Chapter 5:15. After washing his face, Yi Hua placed the towel into the basin and said indifferently, that's right, I am also very disappointed. Yi Hua, were you the one who let them out? Qinya dared to bet that this matter was definitely pushed by her husband from behind. Yi Hua nodded his head and didn't deny it, and I just wanted to take a look at the so-called blood demon, and in the end, this is what it looks like. What about the group of people that destroyed Guan family? Qinya asked. Most of them were killed by the blood demons. Only the two bosses escaped. Qinya snorted, Yi Hua, you are doing this on purpose, right? Aren't you curious about what else they're planning? You're just too shallow. I'm casting a long line to catch a big fish, understand? Yi Hua shook his head. No matter how good-looking a woman is, it's just that her hair is long and her knowledge is short. Qinya won't be able to escape from such a fate. The Empress is still a bit better off, but sometimes, she will also be the same. This is a common failing of all women. Qinya pouted her small mouth, touched her big belly, and said, Child, your daddy has scolded mommy twice in the morning. Alright, he couldn't beat that, so he started snitching to his son. Ouch! Qinya suddenly wrinkled her brows and shouted out. Holding onto her stomach with both of her hands, she seemed to be very sad. Yi Hua's expression tensed up, and he hurriedly supported his wife to sit at the side. What's wrong? This little fellow is moving. Qinya seemed to be exceptionally excited, and the smile that she revealed out became very interesting. Yi Hua let out a breath of relief. I thought that something bad had happened. When Dong Huang Baiji was giving birth to Dong Huang Baiji, Yi Hua wasn't by her side. Thus, Qinya had to properly accompany Dong Huang Baiji. Right now, Yi Hua was also learning from the men on TV. He slowly moved closer to Qinya's belly and felt his son's restlessness. Looking at Yi Hua's human-like actions, Qinya's smile became even more gentle and beautiful. Husband and son, such a perfect life. Did you hear anything? Qinya asked curiously. Yi Hua let out a sigh, as if he was being played by his son. Nothing at all. You must have scared our son to the point that he doesn't dare to move anymore. Qinya rolled her eyes at her husband. Yi Hua pursed his lips and did not say anything. In a few more months, my son will be born, and my son will be born. Papa, good morning. Mama, good morning. Dong Huang Li and Dong Huang Baiji appeared at the doorway of the house. Dong Huang Baiji also appeared at the doorway of the house. The Empress didn't even dare to look straight at her husband's gaze. I reckon that Yi Hua must be very angry at me for running away yesterday. Papa, I'll leave Mama to you. I'm going to play with my brother. After finished speaking, little Ollie began to ask Qinya about whether her little brother had moved today, when is little brother going to be born, what does little brother like to eat, and so on and so forth. Yi Hua said in a low voice, Why did you run away last night? Alright, don't be angry. I was wrong, sir. The Empress was trying to please her husband in every possible way. This kind of Empress couldn't be seen by others. Otherwise, she would lose her prestige. Since his wife admitted that she was in the wrong, Yi Hua stopped lecturing her. That's right, Yi Hong and Zi Shan's relationship issues have already been resolved. They have reconciled, there is no need to worry about them. Yi Hua sat on the wooden chair, and Dong Huang Baiji sat on the side and started making tea for her husband. Who lowered their head and admitted their mistake? Qinya asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji laughed, then said tenderly, It's definitely Yi Hong. Zi Shan is so powerful, how could she be mistaken? Then, Baiji, between Brett and Zhu Tian, who do you think would be mistaken? Qinya continued to ask. As for Dong Huang Baiji, it was hard to say. Zhu Tian was not Yi Hong, he had his own pride, so how could he possibly admit his mistake? And Brett was even more unlikely to admit his mistake. Do you two have any good methods to resolve their relationship issues? Yi Hua was extremely worried about this matter. Team harmony is the most important thing. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji shook their heads. This relationship issue is too hard to resolve, and it isn't something that can be resolved with just a single sentence. Furthermore, Brett was already injured to the point that he wanted to commit suicide. From this, it could be seen how resolute he was. This time, Zhu Tian can be said to have lost a good wife. It is too late for regrets now. Seeing that even his wife was unable to resolve this matter, Yi Hua let out a breath. Seems like I have to go and have a good talk with Zhu Tian and see what exactly Zhu Tian is thinking. When is the announcement for the martial arts competition that you all arranged? Dong Huang Baiji poured a cup of hot tea for Yi Hua. It should be around tomorrow. The date of the martial arts competition is set at the end of December. Consider it as a year-end bonus. Where do you plan to hold the martial arts competition? Dong Huang Baiji said, we plan to hold the martial arts competition at Ji family. After all, this kind of matter cannot be known by the outside world. It is good to hold the martial arts competition at Ji family. It is a pretty good place. However, you have to be careful to prevent people from causing trouble. Yi Hua warned. Don't we have you, hubby? Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji shouted out. That's right, Ollie has daddy. Yi Hua laughed lightly, then carried his daughter. Seems like my mission is very important. I have to properly protect Ollie. Ollie doesn't need daddy to protect her. Daddy can just protect mommy. Yi Hua pinched onto his daughter's little nose. All right, you two go and do your own things. I will go and have a talk with Zhu Tian. Yi Hua, have a proper talk. Don't lose your temper. That's right, don't teach people a lesson at the drop of a hat. Daddy, you have to be calm. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched. Seems like in your hearts, I am someone who gets angry easily. Not only was he the violent type, he was simply a tyrant. He would scold his subordinates for no reason at all, and he would even scold his wife. Such a man, only Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji would be able to endure it. Yi Hua notified Zhu Tian and told him that he would be coming over with his main body. After Zhu Tian received the message, he immediately made preparations to welcome his honor's arrival. Furthermore, he even brought Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanxin out to greet his honor. Yi Hua looked at Zhu Tian's two maids, and he felt that they were rather pitiful. One's entire family was killed, and the other was captured by Brett. All of you, get up. Yi Hua said faintly. Thank you, Your Honor. Zhu Tian shouted out gravely. Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanxin also shouted out respectfully, Thank you, Your Honor. Yi Hua indicated to Zhu Tian to call them away. After Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanxin left, Yi Hua said, This Dongfang Yuan's complexion seems to be pretty good. Your Honor, you had only adjusted herself recently. Zhu Tian said respectfully. Yi Hua nodded his head, It's good that you have thought it through. Zhu Tian lowered his head and remained silent. The reason why I came over this time is to ask you, what exactly do you think of Brett? If there is still a trace of affection between you and Brett, then you should pursue Brett. If there isn't any affection between you and Brett, then just treat it as if I didn't say anything. After finished speaking, Yi Hua looked at Zhu Tian's expression. I don't believe that Zhu Tian's 800 years of affection will be broken just like that. After a long while, Zhu Tian lowered his head and said, Your Honor, I also don't know what to do. Chapter 5:16. If it were before, absolute heaven would have boldly answered that he did not like it. However, when he saw Brett's broken wing, his heart ached. It was as if someone was clutching at it. But, I have already rejected him for more than 800 years, and right now, I am saying that I like him. Isn't this a huge slap to my face, especially in front of his honor? Alright, I know that you like Brett. Yi Hua said gravely. Do you still not know about Zhu Tian's personality? They all wanted to save face. Absolute heaven stared blankly at Shi Feng for a moment before lowering his head. However, he did not quibble, which could be considered as tacit agreement. Zhu Tian, women are all soft-hearted. I believe that you should be able to see through Yi Hong's matter. Brett and Zishan are a bit similar, both of them are strong women. For Yi Hong to be willing to lower his head and yield to Zishan isn't ugly at all. This is the magnanimity of a man. Even I, the Supreme Overlord, would yield to them sometimes. That's why, if you act like a coward, the world will be boundless. This sovereign has experience. In actuality, in front of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, he had also been a little timid, that's all. He definitely wouldn't be a little timid anymore. Your Honor, I'm afraid that even if I admit defeat this time around, Brett will not forgive me, and he will also not accept you, and the others. Zhu Tian was very greedy, he wanted everything. Yi Hua stood up and slowly walked out of the garden. Zhu Tian followed behind Yi Hua respectfully. Zhu Tian, we have already been together for close to 1,000 years, right? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and lightly stroked the flower petal. Time is truly merciless. However, that is only for ugly people. Absolute Heaven paused for a moment, before saying respectfully, it has already been over 1,100 years. If my guess is correct, Brett was saved by you, right? Yi Hua said faintly. Back then, Absolute Heaven had carried the injured Brett back to the Supreme Overlord's side, and Absolute Heaven had said that he had picked up the injured Brett on the road. Back then, Absolute Heaven had actually believed Absolute Heaven's words. It could be seen that Absolute Heaven's IQ was simply not online. Thinking about it now, Absolute Heaven's IQ was indeed not right. A trace of astonishment flashed past Zhu Tian's eyes. It has already been so many years, and His Honor actually still remembers it. Zhu Tian hurriedly knelt down and said, Subordinate doesn't dare to lie to His Honor. That day, Subordinate was the one who saved Brett, therefore, that is why Brett is dead set on you, and this time, Brett wants to return his life to you, right? Yi Hua plucked off the flower petal, then lightly stroked it with his thumb and index finger. Absolute Heaven lowered his head in silence. Forget it. I've already said this much. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. It's fine as long as you don't regret it. Your Honor, thank you for worrying. Yi Hua flicked away the flower petals in his hand and lit up a cigarette. Let's talk about proper business. Guan family is already gone. How is the investigation of the other 4 families going? Your Honor, because of the problem with the longevity fruit being exposed this time, coupled with the change in the distribution of the longevity fruit, the other 4 families have all quietened down. Perhaps, they are all waiting for Voidless Realm's result. Then I, the Supreme Overlord, will tell you the result. They have decided to use a martial arts competition to distribute the longevity fruits, unlike the previous years where both the North and the South can participate in the martial arts competition. Yi Hua said. Zhu Tian's brows wrinkled. Your Honor, if even the South wants to participate in this matter, I don't think that the North will agree to it. After all, this matter belongs to the North. This is not a problem at all. My original plan was to have them fight against each other, and right now, I have a reasonable explanation for it. Yi Hua laughed lightly. I didn't expect that after going around in circles, would once again return back to my original plan. Zhu Tian said gravely, if that is the case, the North's aristocratic families will definitely not agree to it. In the past, even if they don't do anything, they would still be able to obtain the longevity fruit. But now, they have to participate in the martial arts competition to obtain the longevity fruit. Zhu Tian, cornered dogs will jump over a wall. If we are unable to find any clues, we can just lead them to jump over a wall. Zhu Tian was puzzled for a moment, and then his eyes immediately shone. His Honor is making a big fuss again. Your Honor is wise, to be able to see through Subordinate's troubles with just a single sentence. Just by listening to what Zhu Tian said, I feel very comfortable. Walking in this courtyard that is filled with flowers and plants sure has a different flavor to it. Your Honor, these flowers and plants were planted by Guan Yanxin. Zhu Tian, who was following behind Zhu Tian, said in a low voice. They were planted pretty well. Qinya and Baiji wouldn't do such things. Yihua let out a breath. They are both women who are discussing about important matters, hee. Zhu Tian laughed lightly. Your two wives naturally wouldn't do such things. Actually, planting flowers and plants is pretty good as well. They can nurture their mental state, just that, they are too impetuous. Yihua picked up a potted flower and inspected it. After all, your two wives are humans, and they need to go through a process of getting used to it. I believe that they will slowly reach your honor's requirements in the future. Yihua placed the potted flower down, then continued walking forward. They are still far from my requirements. Zhu Tian laughed lightly, not saying anything. Oh right, you will be responsible for the safety of the martial arts competition this time around. Don't eliminate the hidden dangers, just find out what the hidden dangers are and see what they are up to. Yihua naturally wouldn't give up on such an interesting plan. There will definitely be people who will cause trouble for the martial arts competition. I hope that I can catch them all in one go. Your honor can be at ease, subordinate will definitely handle it well. Zhu Tian bowed beside Yihua and accepted the task. Yihua turned around and patted on Zhu Tian's shoulder. Although work is important, you still have to show some concern for Brett. Send her a meal or something like that. Even if you get rejected, don't get discouraged. All girls are like this when they get angry. Your honor, I understand. That's good then. Work hard. Brett is a good woman, if you miss her, you will truly regret it. Subordinate understands. Today's task is more or less like this. I have said everything that needs to be said, but it is still a bit difficult for subordinate to think. Returning back to the office, Yihua called Brett over and asked if there was any information. In actuality, the most important thing was to probe Brett. Brett knelt beside Yihua's feet and told Yihua everything that happened last night. After listening to Brett's words, Yihua slightly wrinkled his brows. Keep an eye on that person as well. If there isn't enough manpower, tell me, I will arrange it for you. Your honor, there's no need for that, subordinate will be fine by myself. Brett said faintly. His expression was still the same as before, ice-cold. Yihua let out a light sigh. All right then. Your honor, if there isn't anything else, subordinate will be leaving first. Wait, what's the rush? Brett asked respectfully. Your honor, do you still have anything else to tell me? If I didn't know you, I would have thought that you are a robot. Brett, I will ask you a few personal questions. Yihua said faintly while looking at Brett's expression. If there is any change, I will immediately stop. This Brett is quite pitiful, she can be said to be the most pitiful woman in the entire team. Your honor, please ask. Brett said faintly. Yihua lit up a stick of cigarette, then asked, how much do you hate Zhu Tian? Absolutely irreconcilable. F***K, aren't you all being too hasty? It's not like you all killed my father, how did you all turn it into absolutely irreconcilable? You are simply using random words, you are simply messing around. Chapter 5:17. Brett slowly raised his head and looked at his honor. I won't. What if I order you? Subordinate will definitely not dare to go against his honor, but subordinate will commit suicide behind his honor's back. Brett's tone was filled with desolation. It seemed like his anger hadn't dissipated yet. Yihua decided to provoke Brett. I went to ask Zhu Tian just now, he is still willing to marry you. Yihua said gravely. Just that, he discovered that Brett did not have any reaction at all. Could it be that he is immune to it? This subordinate will not be fooled again. Brett said indifferently, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. It seemed that Brett had become more vigilant after being deceived by Shifeng and Absolute Heaven the last time. What if it's true? I have never lied to anyone. Even if it is true, this subordinate will not marry a man like Ju Tian. Yi Hong is 10,000 times better than him. Yi Hong, where are you? There's a fangirl here. Yi Hua blushed with shame. I didn't expect that Brett would compare Yi Hong to Ju Tian, and Yi Hong completely won against Ju Tian. Enough. You can go do what you need to do. However, let me tell you, Absolute Heaven is truly regretting his actions. Think about it. Give Absolute Heaven another chance. You can also be considered as giving yourself another chance. Hearing His Honor's words, Brett didn't say anything and left with his head lowered. Yi Hua let out a heavy breath. Not only am I the matchmaker, I am also the peacemaker. Since when did I, the Supreme Overlord, start meddling in other people's business? I haven't eaten chili crayfish in a long time. I miss it a little. Coincidentally, my sister-in-law is at home. If a sister-in-law was not used to peel crayfish, then what was the point of having a sister-in-law? Get to know his sister-in-laws. But in the blink of an eye, 3 days passed by, and Voidless Realm released the latest news. This news made the Northern Clan upset and the Southern Clan happy. That was to distribute the longevity fruits in the form of a martial arts competition. Both the Northern and Southern clans could participate, but each clan could only send one contestant. Furthermore, only the top 10 clans would have the longevity fruits. In fact, in terms of quantity, there was no difference from before. In fact, there was even a little less. Other than letting people know about the longevity fruit, there was no change. Many clans in the south began to stir. The clans in the north began to raise their flags in protest. This was unfair. To begin with, this matter is only the matter of the north, so why are the southerners able to interfere in this matter? Furthermore, during the past 2 days, the commotion between the southerners and Voidless Realm has been getting more and more violent, to the point where they are just short of putting up a banner in front of Voidless Realm's gate to protest. Of course, this was all instigated by the other 4 aristocratic families. These longevity fruits had originally belonged to them, and now they had to give away even less than before. How infuriating! Now that only the 5 great families were left in the north, they naturally pushed aside the Dongfang family, not giving them any face at all. Furthermore, right now, the 4 family heads were all having a meeting, and the content of the meeting was precisely regarding Voidless Realm's attitude towards this matter. Yi Shao of the Yi family had yet to find his son. Chu He of the Chu family. Duan Ho of the Duan family was an ugly woman. Jiang Yuanzhou of the Jiang family, his silly son, was not here. We should have gone to Voidless Realm together to protest, isn't this just messing around? Jiang Yuanzhou slammed onto the table and shouted out. Duan Ho gently stroked her veil, and her slender fingers slid across the cup of water. For so many years, we have been at odds with the South. This time, Your Majesty has angered every family in the north. Yi Zhao's face sank as he said indifferently, "What's done cannot be undone, is there any other way?" Chu He took a deep breath and did not say anything, because his son told him not to be greedy anymore, and to not get involved in the conspiracy of those people. Duan Ho picked up the teacup and lightly blew on it. "Your Majesty has broken your promise to the entire north, I think it's time." Yi Shao nodded his head, and Jiang Yuanzhou nodded his head as well. This is the rhythm of usurping the throne, using the entire north to force you to step down. This is not a problem that can be solved with force. Chu He? Yi Shao asked gravely. Right now, Chu He's mind was still recalling his son Chu Bai's words. "Father, don't ever harbor any thoughts towards Voidless Realm, those people are not people that we can afford to offend even if we were to work together." Chu family head. Duan Ho shouted out. Chu He came back to his senses, then looked at the 3 people in front of him and said gravely, "My Chu family does not wish to participate." Chu He's words caused the 3 people in front of him to go into a daze. "Chu He, what do you mean by that?" Do you want to go and report us? Jiang Yuanzhou questioned coldly. Just now, you didn't say anything, and after listening to the meeting, you said that you don't want to participate. Chu He looked at the three people and said gravely, you all can be at ease. Chu He will definitely not go and secretly report you. How can we believe your words? Yi Xiao laughed. We are all adults, can you not be so childish? I, Chu He, dare to use my life to guarantee it. Duan Ho took off her veil, and the skin that was underneath the veil could be seen to be wrinkled, as if it was burnt by fire. Chu He, it's already too late for you to get off the boat now. The four of us are already on the same boat, we were on the same boat in the past, and we are still on the same boat now. Chu He, you should understand what I mean, right? Duan Ho's words caused Chu He's expression to become extremely gloomy. Duan Ho was reminding me of what happened back then. If this matter were to be leaked out, everyone would be done for. Jiang Yuanzhou stood up and walked to Chu He's side, then placed his hands on Chu He's shoulders and pressed him down. Chu He, the four of us will either live or die together, how is it possible for you to escape by yourself? Chu He's face was deathly pale. These people are right, this boat is already on the same boat, how is it possible for me to get off? Duan Ho said faintly, all right, let's discuss on how to force the Empress to abdicate. If we want to force the Empress to abdicate, we must not use force, we are not her opponent at all. Yi Xiao said. Jiang Yuanzhou sat back on his seat, we cannot use force, we can only use the wishes of the northern families to force the Empress to abdicate. Duan Ho nodded her head, if the southerners get all the benefits from the martial arts competition this time, the northern families will definitely not let the matter rest. I heard that Xiao Yi, Tang Wushuang, and Bai Cixin hate voidless realm to the bone. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yi Xiao drank a mouthful of water, and a faint killing intent could be heard from his tone. Duan Ho's eyes flickered with viciousness, this time. This time, we must win. Helpless, Chu He stretched out his hand and made a kind of contract. I feel that this time is 10,000 times more dangerous than the last time. If I don't succeed, then I will be dead meat. I should have listened to my son today, I shouldn't have come over. However, even if I don't come over, what can I do? After all, they will not let me off. And among the southern families, back then, when Ding family was exterminated, the other four families only brought their people to Ji family's house and left, thus, they were able to escape from this calamity. Right now, they were discussing about the martial arts competition that was going to happen soon. Other than Ding family who was completely exterminated. Chapter 5:18. The four of them sat together in a circle. Their expressions were not as solemn as before, and they seemed very relaxed. This time, the Empress is showing mercy to us, the four of us will be able to get more of Voidless Realm specialties. Marshal Saint leaned on his chair, and both of his legs were even placed on the table. Diao Lang had his eyes closed and was listening to music with his earphones on. However, he said, the South's overall strength has declined. Only our 4 clans and the 5 clans in the North have the strength to snatch it. You are right. Right now, there is a wave of anti-voidless realm craze in the North. Empress, you are going to be very busy. He Tian said faintly while smoking a pipe of tobacco. Murongji laughed lightly, those aristocratic families in the North might start targeting Voidless Realm and topple Voidless Realm. Bring down Voidless Realm. How is that possible? You all are thinking too much into it. Marshal Sage laughed. Voidless Realm is such a powerful big shot, and you all want to bring down Voidless Realm. It was simply impossible. Diao Lang took off his earphones and placed them on the table. He looked at the 3 of them and said, if it's to unite all the families in the North, that might not be the case. The other 3 nodded their heads. If he really had the ability to unite all the families in the north, that might really be the case. But what does that have to do with us? As long as we get the longevity fruits, everything will be fine. The four patriarchs nodded their heads. What did the matters of the north have to do with them? The empress was really a good person. She even cared about the feelings of the entire south. It would be strange if the northern clans didn't rebel. Was this the same as shooting oneself in the foot? This was also what Yihua wanted. Yihua wanted to completely crush the pity in his wives' hearts. In this world, there are only benefits involved. Even if you treat the South so well, in the end, aren't you still being cheated? In the Wang family's villa in Gaohai City, Wang Debao and Bai Cixin were entertaining four distinguished guests. Heaven and Earth, Feng Tian, Feng Di who had recovered, and Xiao Yi. Act tough King Xiao. Qing Tiandi was still dressed lazily like a university graduate. Xiao Yi was called over by Bai Cixin today. The two families were considered allies in the north. Now that they were in the south together, they had to advance and retreat together. Xiao Yi, this is Qing Tian, this is Feng Tian, this is Feng Di. Bai Cixin introduced them with a smile while Wang Debao stood behind her. He didn't really approve of his wife's actions this time, because he couldn't see through this god raising heaven and earth, and that Feng Tian was also very strange. However, his wife insisted on cooperating. As her husband, how could he not agree? He only hoped that there wouldn't be any trouble. Xiao Yi stood up and faintly said, I, Xiao Yi, will never be someone's subordinate or hired thug. If the people from the space-time branch heard Xiao Yi's words, they would definitely fire him. How could he not act cool? Atlas smiled and said, Xiao Yi, we are a team. We help each other and cooperate. I just formed this team. Have you seen the Avengers? I am Captain America. You are all my teammates, not my subordinates. I like Thanos. Feng Di clenched his fists as if he wanted to snap his fingers. Heaven and Earth Pagoda smiled faintly and said, if we have more experts, then the combat power of the team will increase. Why did you gather so many people together? Xiao Yi asked curiously. Suddenly, Qing Tiandi's expression became very serious. The darkness is coming. We should be fully prepared to welcome the terrifying darkness. What? Wang Debao did not understand. What darkness is coming? I have only seen the invasion of darkness. It is scary. Heaven and Earth Pagoda's serious expression suddenly collapsed. You have seen the invasion of darkness. I have seen it too. Can't you be serious? Feng Di said in a deep voice. Sometimes, he really could not stand this Heaven and Earth Pagoda. Heaven and Earth Pagoda coughed embarrassedly. His expression became serious again. In our world, there are many unknown factors. It is scary. Then you must have seen Silent Hill. Wang Debao suddenly interrupted. Heaven and Earth Pagoda's expression changed again. He smiled and said, yeah, it feels good. The atmosphere is very good. Wang Debao. Can you be quiet? Bai Cixin could not stand it anymore. Why did all the experts have such a hobby? Heaven and Earth Pagoda smiled at Wang Debao. It seemed like he was saying, let's discuss the movie later. Maybe one of them will win an award. Heaven and Earth Pagoda's expression darkened again. Our world is at the center of the universe's accident. Rebirth, time travel, all kinds of things. I believe that none of you are local, right? Maybe you are from another world. For example, the Emperor Immortal. Xiao Yi was shocked. How did this man know about him? I also know that you are working for the Time Branch. Heaven and Earth Pagoda's words shocked everyone. Bai Cixin asked in a deep voice, what is the Time Branch? It is to catch those people who have been reborn and time-traveled, heaven and earth pagoda said. Fong Di and Fong Tian were not from Earth, but it was their first time hearing about the time branch. Miss Bai, do you have egg tarts here? Heaven and Earth pagoda asked curiously. Bai Cixin was a little depressed too. I will order one for your mate one. Me too. Fong Di raised his hand. Wang Debao touched his nose. I will order beef meatballs and spaghetti. Bai Cixin was speechless. They might as well eat. Xiao Yi, what about you? I will order a chaos. Bai Cixin looked at Fong Tian. What do you want to eat? A hamburger combo. I don't want Coke, I want Sprite.